Hey guys, Ryan Higgins here from the Comic Conspiracy Podcast. We have a great episode today all about the Wonder Woman movie that hit theaters this past week. So make sure you watch the movie before listening. We've got about 16 minutes where we just talk about the movie in general, and then a lot of spoiler talk for the remainder of the episode. It's pretty long, but no Bryce, which is shocking. It's actually that long without Bryce. Who knew? Anyway, it's the beginning of the month, so we have to thank our great friends from Patreon, including Julian Titus at the Nerds of All Pants podcast at pixelbit.com. Ryan Hess with the Preach Podcast at soundcloud.com/Preach Podcast. Jody Lawson, the Canon Triad Comics Anthology at triadcomicstudios.com. As well as our good friends Manoa Place, Sam Chaya, Talon Bray, Craig Anderson, and Joe Duff. And you can donate as little as $1 a month to us at patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy. Get some cool bonus features. We have a Bryce Briefly going up hopefully next week. We're going to try to record one with him. Again, patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy. And here is the Wonder Woman review. Thanks. Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 312 for the week of June 6th, 2017. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here with me this week.
A slightly melting Brock Sager.
Kevin Sharp of Earth 2.
Whoa.
In the famous words of Michael Jordan, I'm back. Doesn't have the same resonance, though.
Toby.
Yeah.
That's Toby.
Hello.
And Charlie.
Hey, Charlie. How are you?
Good.
No Bryce this week, unfortunately. I think he's going to be on next week. But we have a nice big episode this week about Wonder Woman, the DC Cinematic Universe movie. Wonder Woman opened this weekend, starring Gal Gadot. Gadot. I can never say it. We listen to videos. As long as you have that hard T at the end, that's all that matters. Gal Gadot. Directed by Patty Jenkins. So for those of you who listen to our regular episodes, our movie episodes are always a little bit different because we're not talking about any traditional comic news. This is just going to be about the movie. We do have a bunch of questions. And those Patreon backers did it, man. We're back on our random picks. So for this whole month, we get to do some random picks at the end of the episode.
Can you at least show somewhat of your just disgust with having to do random picks?
I love random picks.
You're such a bad
because random picks means we got paid money. And I love money. And so I love what makes me that money. And there you go. It's random picks. Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman opened this past week. We all got to go see it. Toby, you were out of town. You were on your European vacation. Which
you would not fucking wait a day.
Wonder Woman wouldn't wait a day, Toby. I'm sorry. Blame her.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be here next week. We have to change our recording schedule next week. I want to hear all about your trip. So we're going to have to wait 2 weeks before you do it. Do you want to do like a little Toby briefly or something? And we could put that up on the main feed or something, or we'll figure it out. I want to hear all about your European trip.
Okay.
But we all got to see it. Kevin was with us. We had about 35 people there on Thursday night, and I was actually a little bit worried when we got there because there wasn't that many people, but very fortunate by 15, 20 minutes before the movie was actually going to start. Because I'm used to going to these openings and there's people camped out for days, but I feel like that's not happening as much anymore.
I think it's because they have more showings now.
Well, it's that
Thursday nights,
and
more theaters are doing more showings, so it's spreading out the.
Well, more places are doing reserved seating,
so
there's not really a need to go there early. So the theater, when we go to the big screenings where we have a bunch of people, we go to the one last theater around here that's not reserved seating. Most theaters have moved over reserved seating
at least
now.
partly reserved seating.
Right.
Like Mercado only does certain theaters are reserved seating.
Well, even Cupertino here, they moved their IMAX over to reserved seating.
They did?
Yep.
All right.
So, unfortunately, for those
Been
type
out of town for a while. Didn't know that.
I didn't know either because I never did the IMAX stuff because there's always 3D there.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you go, if you try to buy 30 or 40 tickets, you can't buy 30 or 40 tickets for reserved seating theaters because you're going to get a bunch of mixed match seats wherever. When we buy 40 tickets to go see Wonder Woman, we just get there early, and we're there 2 hours ahead of time, and we just get whatever seats we want.
Or you just rent out the whole theater again. And
I could do that too.
Or you have Charlie showing up, Batman Begins, and going, "Where's the line?" They're like, "What are you talking about?" Then Charlie goes, "I am the line."
So, Wonder Woman, we're going to talk about this and then do our picks, and we got a bunch of comments from you guys. We'll get to those. So I rolled a random die, and Brock ended up winning this time. So, Brock.
I don't think it's winning when you have to go first.
It's great.
Oh yeah.
We like to kind of do, not really spoilers for the early part, although we're going to cover, what our kind of overall thoughts of the movie. Although spoilers will probably be dropped randomly, so if you want, if you were looking for a spoiler-free review, that will not be this. So, but we'll kind of go around once with our general impression, and then we'll get to some more specifics. Plus, we have a bunch of questions. Okay. Hit me up, Brock. What you got?
So, going into Wonder Woman, with the buzz going into it, I was still a little skeptical based on the history of the
Despite the reviews?
Well, despite the reviews made me positive for it, but I was still skeptical because it was DC, and DC's
the reviews are very positive, yeah.
But DC's had a difficult track record in the past handful of movies. But overall, as I was watching it, the pacing was good, the action was great, the story was, for the most part, well done. Few nitpicky things here and there, but overall, it was a really, really solid film that I think kind of elevates DC up now in their movie franchises. But just really, I think, if anything, it's just a really good overall movie. Are you having difficulty with my voice?
No, fine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when we get to the nitty-gritties of it, there'll be ups and downs, but overall, I think it was a really good, solid movie. So, sharp.
So I should just start with a preamble of the last movie I think I was on here to discuss was Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you're a big fan of that.
Some dark days. But I'm kind of like the baby duck who sees the rubber bird, and that's the first thing it imprints on as his mother. So for me, the first superheroes that ever imprinted on me were the Super Friends.
Sure.
Superman, Batman and Robin, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman. So those are always going to be the dearest to my heart just because they were the first I discovered. So I can walk into Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, Suicide Squad, and just hope for a good movie. Mm-hmm. Something like this, I'm more emotionally invested, and there's more, quote, on the line with this being good.
Do you think you're harder on it, or do you think you're more willing to just like it because it's those characters?
I'm going in with just fingers crossed and just really high hopes, like emotional hopes. So I don't know that I could answer I'd be harder on it. It's just I'm more set up for a crushing disappointment, i.e. BVS. But anyway, so thumbs up on this. I've read some comparisons to Captain America, the First Avenger, which, I mean, makes sense in the wartime setting. I'd actually compare this more to Superman the movie, the Christopher Reeve one, and there are a couple of direct shout-outs to that in this movie. But why I'm saying that comparison is I think like that, which is a movie I love, I've probably seen that thing 50 times over the course of my life, is a great, perfect lead performance supported by a very good, entertaining film. Mm-hmm. The lead character / lead actor is better than the movie, but the movie is still very good.
Now, when Jeff Johns was talking about being on set working with Patty Jenkins, he said this is as close as it's felt like working with Richard Donner as he's had since he worked with him. And yeah, I saw a lot of comparisons to Superman the Motion Picture, just sort of that you get the origin. It's not too long, but it's a good chunk of the movie, but it doesn't feel like, oh, here we go, another origin story. It feels...
There are distinct acts.
Right.
Like Superman the movie. And again, Superman the movie, near and dear to my heart. But some of my quibbles with Wonder Woman are also quibbles that I would have with that film.
Yeah.
And we can get into that later. But overall, I'm delighted to be here to praise a DC movie. It feels good.
Now, Toby, I want to, you have been harassing me for days, and we were all, before the podcast, we're all trying to figure out what the hell you're going on about. Now I got texts from Toby that said, the whole time I'm watching Wonder Woman, I kept thinking of you, Ryan. I kept thinking of you, and I hate you. And I kept thinking of you, and I hate
you're
you.
making me so mad.
And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
But this is just a brief overview, right? So we're going
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I don't think he can go into details without spoiling it.
So I'm going to do my brief overview right now.
Okay.
I'm going to just say I loved it, and I'll let Charlie carry on.
All right.
Yeah.
Very brief. Now that's a Bryce briefly.
Charlie, you liked it?
Charlie, you're next in the line.
It's not funny when you do it. Sorry, dude.
Okay.
Well, somebody has to.
So, I loved the movie.
They literally
I
don't have to.
considered it about 93% perfect for me. Like
So
it's
the same as Rotten Tomatoes?
60% of the time, it's
I have
right
no
100% of the time.
Huh?
I have no clue what the score is currently.
Something like
It keeps fluctuating. But no, it's one of those things where most of the time I walk out of comic book movies, and even if I love the comic book movies, I always have like a few things where I'm just like, that was their misstep. And I don't think this movie doesn't have its missteps, but it's as close to my reaction of Dark Knight that I've gotten out of a comic book movie. Like, I walked out of Dark Knight and going, there was nothing I would have changed about that movie, and this was really damn close.
Oh,
Don't give me that face, Mr. Sharp.
Kevin's giving me a look.
Ryan has to finish his short, so we can bring that back
We're
up.
going on a tangent now. Let's talk Dark Knight. Kidding. Sorry, Charlie.
That's high praise. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, real briefly, of course I love this movie. I find it was amazing. I was worried a little bit, less so that I thought that I would like it. I was worried about the
General population.
the general population. I was worried about, hashtag not all men might not want to go see this movie.
Gives a shit about those guys?
No, I don't care, right? But I do view both sides of this industry. And I mean, I'm happy when I enjoy the movie, but I also would like these things to be liked and do well, and so we can get more of them. So I on a personal level, I had kind of some high expectations for this movie. And yeah, there is a scene, and the No Man's Land scene. Again, we could talk more details as we get a little further in. Don't want to spoil too much, but that was a scene when it happened. I was like, yep, this movie is going to do fucking huge numbers, because I feel they set up a great character in Batman v Superman with some mystery. You're like, okay, we know it's Wonder Woman, but the general audience doesn't have a lot of idea of exactly what's going on with her. But she does such a good job in Batman v Superman. I figured, all right, this has
Stole the show in that movie.
Oh yeah, she was great. Yeah, she was great.
The movie was horseshit.
I figured she was going to do a great job in this movie, but it wasn't just her. I mean, it was from Chris Pine to the rest of his little crew. The supporting actors were fantastic, and I like that it wasn't afraid to defocus from her occasionally and show how the humans around her kind of react to her, because it is mostly about her, but there are a few times where it does sort of focus, and Chris Pine and his gang are more the focus, and she's just sort of this, especially a couple of big fight scenes, just like this force of nature that's bigger than the war around them and bigger than those characters, and that's always the great thing about Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, is that they are not Spider-Man. They are not walking down the streets. They are seen as near, and in Wonder Woman's case, literally a god. And I love that they were not afraid to have her be human and have her be Diana Prince and have her eating ice cream, but also show the superhero Wonder Woman, and not... The Marvel movies tend to play the characters very low powered, except for like Guardians of the Galaxy. Man of Steel obviously went pretty crazy in the opposite direction. It was super, super powerful, and Batman v Superman as well. And Wonder Woman, to me, I think did a good job of splitting the difference. As a fan of the superhero, because I like the fact that this movie wasn't afraid of showing actual big, giant fight scenes and really good, pulled back. You see the whole fight. It's not like super close and you can't see what's going on. These weird quick shots. Like, great fight scenes, great acting, very funny, very emotional at
super
points.
Close shit is to hide that they can't fight. You know that, right?
Oh, of course, right.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that this didn't do that, right?
No, they trained very hard on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the couple things I didn't like are like the littlest of nitpicks that we'll cover later in this episode.
Why don't you go for it?
Did you want to start with go spoilers?
What else
just
we
go
gonna
backwards
talk
or
about?
something?
We did a round of brief reviews.
Yeah.
I think you're just happy you don't have to have the asterisks anymore.
Well, yeah, and I mean, what is funny, when we walked out of the theater, someone said, how do you rank the DC movies now? And I mean, maybe people forget. I don't know.
Which way do you rank the DC movies?
But I mean, I legitimately love
just
Man
the
of Steel.
three?
I legitimately
Or do you-
love Man of Steel. No, just Man of Steel current, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So not like classic DC movies.
Yeah, no, just like the DC cinematic universe, and
Dark Knight's Nolan, not either.
yeah, no. And I
short list.
loved Man of Steel. This feels like I would probably knock Man of Steel down a grade to put this at that A spot, because I had Man of Steel at an A forever. I mean, I love Man of Steel. I would knock it down to like an A- to put Wonder Woman as the top spot.
Well, I'm with you with the Man of Steel. I actually really enjoy it. People kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
But I do think I would knock Man of Steel down to number 2.
But I think
leave Wonder Woman number 1 right now.
But like, I feel like Winter Soldier, even that, like in the Marvel stuff, like Dark Knight holds that sort of like ultimate A+ grade.
Yes.
It is just I haven't seen a movie that hit that level. We've gotten very close.
Dark Knight, though, I was like watching like my fist, like I was tense the entire time and like not blinking. I remember
Knight
just like being complete off from beginning to the end.
Dark Knight is just on a different level than every other movie that I've seen that involves superheroes or based on comics or anything. So we don't have to talk about Dark Knight anymore. But
Yes, we do. No, kidding.
as far as the DC cinematic universe, I mean this is easily not easily to me. This does squeak in to be the number 1. I'm assuming for most people, it is easily the number 1 movie.
For me, it goes backwards, so it's Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, BVS, Man of Steel.
I mean, again, Squad is my least favorite of them, probably, but not by. I mean, it's not like an F. Like I like Suicide Squad. I like Batman v Superman. So my grades are pretty. They're all. Squad and BVS are like Bs, and Man of Steel and Wonder Woman are As. But yeah, I mean, we can go backwards now and talk about some more plot specifics and things we liked and things we didn't like. So again, I'm assuming people have seen this movie. It starts with I want to say at least a good 35 minutes with them on Themyscira.
First is the bookend scene
you have
of
the
her at the
bookends.
Louvre.
It's the Saving Private Ryan.
I don't hate those. I just didn't feel they were really necessary.
They weren't necessary at all.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, and especially at the end, because she's just like, I guess at this point we'll now go full blown spoilers. So sorry if you don't want to know. Now you can shut it off.
Pause, go see the movie,
Yeah.
and then come back and listen.
Her sort of jumping off to action at the very end felt like, okay, that's a cool little superhero shot. Like, but again, if they cut him, it wouldn't have changed the movie to me at all.
I think it's just
So-
connected to the other movies.
Yeah.
So the thing I kind of like about the bookend scenes is they set me up with certain expectations, and I was so relieved that they didn't do it. Like the first scene when you see the like armored car, like
Thought Batman
I'm
was going to come.
not even
it was gonna be a
necessarily
robbery or
Batman,
something.
but there would be a robbery or
Yeah.
something, and just the way you kind of sets up with no cameos, no.
Yeah.
It was kind of sweet.
It just kind of very quickly kind of just gives her a little more time of like, what is she doing now?
Well, you heard that apparently there was no deleted scenes. They basically used everything they filmed. Obviously, multiple takes and stuff like that. But yeah, they didn't like cut out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
As Justice League is apparently going through some more reshoots. So whatever. I mean, if it makes the movie better, that's cool. But we do have a good like 35 minutes of
Her growing up on Themyscira.
Yeah, of Themyscira. And man, I wasn't sure how that was going to go. I wasn't sure how serious they were going to take it. I wasn't sure how accurate they were going to take it. No, they said, fuck you. If you don't like this, don't watch this movie. This is, as accurate as I think they could have gotten.
That is the Krypton / Smallville
Yeah.
segment of Superman.
Yeah.
Played completely straight.
Yep.
I mean, there's some jokes in it.
Yeah.
But it's played completely straight.
And it jumps at the moments it needs to jump for age and stuff.
She's a little girl, then kind of a younger, not tween age, and then Diana. And then, man, they look. If you hate the look of Man of Steel and Suicide Squad, just the tones, man, that is the most colorful superhero movie I've seen, short of the first Guardians movie. And it is gorgeous. I'm not sure where they shot it. It looked like they used a lot of, because I saw some behind the scene footage, and it looked like they did use a lot of, islands in Europe and maybe Greece, and it's beautiful, beautiful shots. Of course, we get Steve Trevor crashing down, and again, fairly quickly. It didn't waste too long with the origin. It definitely took a while, but it wasn't like I didn't feel like it was filler. I didn't feel like any of it was unnecessary.
Well, I liked how they did him coming to Themyscira. It was like this veil, right? This kind of thing that they kind of ran into, and they used the whole fog in the middle of the ocean. You're like, what is going on? And then it's like, boom, you're there. So it kind of adds this mystery to them, the island being hidden.
Yep.
But it wasn't like, oh, he came, but nobody else can come. It was the natural progression of everything that was moving towards Themyscira at the time. So
now this is where I wish we had our good friend Raphael, who's a Wonder Woman expert and remembers all the Greek names. Kind of the big catalyst here is that when the people invade, when the Germans invade Themyscira, her trainer, right, is killed.
Well,
her
aunt.
Aunt.
Her aunt,
Right.
Trainer.
Right. Yeah.
the general of the Themyscira army, of the Amazon army.
Yeah.
training all the Amazons.
Yeah. Because I'm so bad with the names of the Amazons that aren't Wonder Woman or Hippolyta. So pardon me for not having the specific names in front of me.
Starts with an A, but that's as close as I can
it's
get.
Like
Does-
Antiope or something.
Yeah, I think
you're right.
It's what's her name from Princess Bride.
Yeah, I did not realize that until.
You didn't know that?
No, I mean, I don't know her from anything.
So
other
the
than
catalyst
Princess
you're about to mention is, we're in spoilers now, yes?
Bride. Yeah.
Is, and I'm going to sound like I'm repeating myself here, is the death of Pa Kent.
Right.
I'm talking about originally, not in that version that was done.
Yeah, you're talking from the 70s.
Donner, from
Yeah, the
Donner's
Donner
film,
movie. Yeah. And that is sort of she meets Chris Pine, she meets Steve Trevor, and she's sort of introduced to man's world, and as in the comics, she says, I'm going to go off with this guy and go be the ambassador and go see what I can fix and see what I can do.
Now, did you guys, for anybody, what did you feel about updating the origin, or I shouldn't say updating, backdating it to World War I instead of II?
I thought that worked really, really well.
Yeah, I think.
Now, mind you, one thing I'm curious about, because the way they progress through the ages on the island kind of ignores the fact that at some point she stops aging, so we don't really know how old she is at that point.
But I mean, that's
Yeah.
they hit that age and just don't
Yeah, I
age
know.
anymore, or they age very slowly because obviously Hippolyta aged at
Unless
some point.
Hippolyta's 500 years old and Diana is 200.
Yeah. I mean, I think thousands of years old, but yeah.
Well, I think setting in World War One, I liked setting it in World War One just because you're putting it in a time that women did not have roles very much. I mean, in World War II, you had Susie the Riveter, you had like women doing these.
I mean,
these
not
bigger
combat,
roles,
but
right?
yeah, it was more.
But
World War One, that was kind of a little bit back, and I like the fact that the technology jumping from swords and bows and arrows to rifles and World War One artillery and all that is is not too much of a jump from bows and arrows and siege towers and all that stuff. If she was to jump to World War II, where you have more sophisticated tanks and more sophisticated weapons, and it's
Yeah.
I just think the
Plus,
narrative
it looks cooler when she breaks a gun across her back that's wood versus metal. So,
to me, what it kind of comes down to is there's a sense in World War One, like this is the big one. This is the war that World War II, while it was definitely big and like you kind of had a very well-defined bad guy based on history and everything at this point, it's really, really hard to say that this is the big one when it's World War II. And
it happened. Missed it. Where were you then?
I think also it has to do with the villains that they chose.
Well, I think again, look, I'm not a historian, so I'm not going to pretend to know, and I probably know as little as most people that are going to watch this movie.
Less. I'll be honest.
World War I has no Hitler to me. I'm sure there is a version. I'm sure there is someone of that similar influence and power, but not a, it's. I mean, you're not going to have anyone as big as Hitler. So setting into World War II, the story would probably have to go somewhere where Hitler is somehow involved with Ares, and that might bring on just a whole other level that doesn't quite click.
The other thing you have to look at is
having the World War I setting, I think for a big part of the audience gives it it's a little more nebulous villains to realistic, but they give them the ability to use whoever they want.
We had Dr. Poison, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The thing is she is making a gas. And World War I was a war that used chemical weapons, mustard gas, all that stuff. So it's practical.
All right, it makes sense.
Bringing her into World War II, what would she be making gas for? I really don't think touching on that subject is a good subject to touch on in opening a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, and I think, having it be World War I, the first one, makes more sense.
Mustard gas, that's where we know chemical warfare kind of started. It's a good introduction for Dr. Poison.
Well, to me, it's more the narrative of the whole idea of the darkness and evil within mankind plays a lot better when it's not they're the evil side, we're the good side.
Right.
The way they kind of did the narrative of this movie was everybody's fighting each other, but there wasn't a clear this is the big bad. These are the evil people.
That's what I meant about Hitler. Like, you don't have that one clear enemy.
Yeah.
So, and I think, unlike Captain America, I think World War II is not specific to Wonder Woman's origin enough that you can't change it. Making Captain America out of World War I, that would be weird.
Yeah.
Making Wonder Woman, I don't think it changes anything. I think it works totally fine.
Yeah, agreed. I was just wondering what everybody thought of it.
Yeah,
because you could argue about whether it changes things. That's a fundamental change to the classic origin.
Yeah. But I think it works.
It works.
Yeah. And I don't mind change as long as it makes sense and works well. If it's changed and there's no reason for it, then
because the thing is, if you think about it, where Wonder Woman came from is somebody who was exposed to that war. Like they knew about that war. They lived it. The creator lived it on some level. Probably heard about it from people that were older than him, family related. So that's what influenced him to create Wonder Woman in the first place. And she, graced us around World War II.
And I guess here's sort of the fundamental thing for me. Wonder Woman's origin is more about Themyscira and Steve Trevor crashing, not about the setting of the war.
Yeah, she could come out today. It could be Afghanistan. It could be, it could be Iraq.
Yeah, Steve could just drop in there, and it's like, oh, what are we doing now?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. And again, let's move on a bit here, kind of for the general plot, and we could talk more things we liked and didn't like. Because as we get on to, and also by the way, before we leave, man, the Amazon fight scene was incredible. We saw bits of that in the trailer, but you're seeing the full sequence. Oof. Yeah, I love they do some crazy gymnastics. I'm sure there's also CG thrown in there, but I love the way they were just flipping around and it wasn't slow mo that felt unnecessary. It really did we're going to focus on a quick tight action shot. Show you the slow-mo, full-body character doing this thing, and then boom, right back into the action. It felt, Transformers gets kind of hammered for being way too busy and not showing anything. You can't really focus on it. Snyder gets hammered for being too much slow-mo, too much unnecessary time.
I think with the scene that sums it up the best is when the general starts with an A. When she jumps on the shield and over the rock and then fires the 3 arrows back.
Yeah, that was in the trailer. Yeah,
it's those guys at distinct moments, but it doesn't feel like it goes boom, 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 and the beats feel like they're natural and moving at a decent pace.
Yeah.
Versus, like you said, it's too slowed down. But,
it wasn't. There was a lot of slow mo, but not in a bad way. I feel.
Yeah, it all worked.
So I got 2 comments to segue into the next thing you're going to talk about, plot-wise. First off, when I first heard they were making Wonder Woman, one of my questions was, or hopes, was that they really went with it, because what you do if you honored it truly from the comics is you're going to say that in the DC universe, the Greek gods are real.
Yeah.
And are they going to do that for the movie universe?
Yeah.
Or are they going to do the Asgard way, where it's like they're not really gods, they're like aliens?
Yeah.
No, they leaned right into it. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciated that they did that.
So we talked about this on the Geek Box last night with Justin, and he was like, yeah, it's really fucking weird. They're not aliens, they're gods. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the character. Now, just because that's what the Amazons say, that doesn't necessarily mean that is what happened. This is sort of their history. While, yes, they were there, you can, if you want to pull back from that, they
well,
can.
I'm saying I'm glad that they didn't.
Right. I am, too.
I love the fact that they didn't shy away from that. And it also made me start to think about the Wonder Woman Azzarello run, because the way they left things with the Greek gods, it does make way for the new gods that kind of play a role in Apocalypse and everything going on in Justice League.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're able to set those characters up and explain Darkseid is maybe connected to the Greek gods. Or
I mean, yeah, and you can still have whatever theology you want growing out of that. Look at the Indiana Jones movies. Yeah. The biblical God is real. The Hindu God is real from that evil priest.
Yeah.
King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table are real, and aliens are real.
Right.
So there's room for everything.
Yeah.
The second comment I was going to make, because you're about to talk about when they leave Paradise Island.
Yeah, just getting to London and everything.
So one thing, and I think some writers will acknowledge this, that makes this character so tricky to write, I'm talking about in comics, is that the original premise of Wonder Woman, if you look at the Golden Age comics, she's the ambassador of peace who goes to man's world and starts kicking ass. And there's that fundamental kind of dichotomy in the character that's always been a challenge. That's why no 2 Wonder Woman runs are like each other at all, other than that they feature Wonder Woman. If you look at the way the character's portrayed, this movie, I thought, did a really nice job of why she was leaving the island. It wasn't to be an ambassador to man's world, sent by the... Remember, in the original story, I'm saying remember, as if everybody knows, they have a competition of the Amazons to see who's going to go to be the ambassador. And I'm glad that they did away with that. I mean, it's a cool storyline, but I'm glad that they have her as kind of the rebel going there to fight.
Yeah. Well, she's going there to stop Ares, their enemy, who's now loose on man's world.
I think they gave us a little bit of the competition stuff when she's training. Like,
a little bit.
It wasn't like an official kind of thing, but I think that it was kind of a nod.
Well, it sets up the same way. The whole idea of the competition was to show off the fact that Diana is the strongest Amazon warrior.
But again, this takes the more modern origin where she's literally a demigod. And so it kind of resets it up as her showing off her powers, which none of the Amazons have. So it does sort of take her out as different than everyone else, which, again, being the rebel makes sense.
In general, and I'm not saying that the Amazons have any powers. They didn't necessarily... So we know the Amazons at least aged very slowly.
Yeah.
We don't know what other gifts of the gods they've
been shown to be great fighters, just much stronger than a traditional man, but they are not immortal. They can be killed. They are extraordinarily long-lived and age barely.
But what I'm saying is when Diana is competing against them, her blows aren't sending people flying.
But they do. They do when she uses her like kind of block power thing.
Well, yes, when she uses some of the godly power, she sends them fighting. But what I'm saying is, she obviously is much stronger and all that than a normal human.
I think that's early too. I mean, I feel like as she goes on, she'll get more powerful because they have her gliding on the winds, which is an early Wonder Woman power, and then possibly straight up flying at the very end. It's unclear, which is her kind of more
all I'm basically saying is I would think the Amazons would still be extraordinarily strong compared to
They are
normal people
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of thing. I don't think I completely acknowledge the fact that she is a demigod. I would assume they are practically immortal as long as they stay on the island.
Yeah, they can be killed, but they are
Yeah.
not immortal. They are
Yeah.
not. Yeah, yeah. They're not like a literal god that cannot be
We
killed.
gotta get off the island.
So they go into London, and you see the bright colors of Themyscira versus the horrible gray tones of London. And of course, there's a joke in the trailer too, where she's like, "Oh, it's hideous," And again, I think it's setting in World War I. It's a cool, different story because I mean, at this point in fiction, we've seen so many stories that take place in World War II. I like switching it up. The costumes are a little different. It's a little more turn of the century. It's just it's a different setting than the ones we're normally used to.
And let's give a shout out here for just complimenting as we go.
Yeah.
Shout out here to the casting of Etta Candy.
Yeah, she was
Anybody
wonderful.
who doesn't know the Golden Age Wonder Woman comics, just Google Etta Candy and look at the images that come up, and you'll go, wow, that's great casting.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And I feel like I almost wonder in a sequel if she'd be a little bit more, because she definitely had a couple big scenes, but I almost felt like I would have liked her a little bit more of her.
Patty Jenkins said she envisions a sequel as modern times.
Oh yeah, so I wouldn't have her, but
I was kind of hoping they'd do the World War II sequel, the
Yeah.
World War II story next.
Her a little
we
older.
could follow her
Yeah.
forward.
I actually kind of liked it that she wasn't stupid because she picked up on the spies right away as they walked away. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
That she might be a timid woman, so to speak, but
Right.
she wasn't stupid. She figured it out and kind of came at the very end. I thought that was kind of a nice
Well,
touch.
Yeah.
and she was brave. She didn't
Yeah.
go running for
Yeah.
assistance. Or,
I just
she
thought that was kind of a nice little touch.
brought Wonder Woman's sword with
Yeah.
her.
That was again talk about the comedy. I had some complaints about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with the constant comedy and the jokes that didn't land. This felt like when there was comedic moments, it was natural within the scene. It made sense. It made sense for the character. It added to the scene. It wasn't just something you could cut off at the end and have the scene play the same. Things like her getting the ice cream, with them walking around with the sword and the shield, and she keeps like putting it up and trying to get through the door. And it's like it's a funny scene, but it doesn't like.
They didn't overdo it.
Yeah, it wasn't overdone because then it was
Well, because the thing
incredibly
is,
dramatic scene.
Because the thing is if you look at when she's trying on different outfits and stuff like that, right? And
go on for 10 minutes.
It doesn't go on for 10 minutes. It's like she does one thing here, one thing here, one thing here, and yet when she finally picks the last outfit, she still looks amazing and like just a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. No, and I like that they gave her the glasses too, however briefly. That was fun, fun touch.
She looked like Linda Carter so much when she had those glasses on.
Yeah. So at this point, I mean, the story here is that she wants to go to the front line of the war and go find Ares, and Steve Trevor and his gang think you're crazy. Ares doesn't exist. We don't know what the hell you're talking about. We don't have to hit like every plot point here, but I mean, at this point, let's just go into the rest of the movie and the big bads and everything. Dr. Poison was cool. I liked her. I thought she was an interesting villain. Mm-hmm. I feel like I like it when they get away from villains that you don't necessarily punch, right? Like that's not a character you walk up and punch them out. It's not like Doomsday or something like that, or a big monster or something.
Let's come back to that point later.
Yeah. I like that this kind of B character, one of the kind of three main villains of the movie was very effective, but something that was not a fist fight there, and especially with the whole gas thing, it literally you can't punch that away. It's gas, so they have to stealth in, they have to steal her book, they can't just go in and blow up the place. Although they do that a few times, they have to try to find a way to prevent this from her from making more of this poison. I feel like you probably could have done away. This isn't much of a complaint because I liked it, but the little power capsule gels that she gave the guy.
I think I would have liked.
I think that's just so that they can fight at the very end.
Yeah, I would have liked a little bit more of an explanation.
Because otherwise, she
behind
just
that.
punched him once and he would be down at the very end of the
Well,
movie.
they give you all the explanation you would need around the fact that Ares was kind of whispering
Yeah.
inspiration in
Yeah.
her ear.
Oh, I love that. He was
Yeah.
kind of like the devil, basically.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah.
guided the people, but he never like tipped the hand.
He was
Because-
escalating the conflict.
It was kind of a nice swerve that my assumption, and I'm glad I was wrong, was that, oh, well, clearly they're setting this up to be Wonder Woman slugging it out with that German general.
Yeah,
Superpower. Like maybe he's going to snap 20 of those.
Yeah,
I'm
that's-
making the gesture here on
Right,
the mic.
right.
Well, I kind of like that she was wrong about
Yeah,
it.
I'm glad
because
that
it's-
was-
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like Bane, right? Just take all of it. Give me that.
Well, I mean, I think that was all of our impression, especially she's under the impression that he is Ares too, right? A lot of people were like, "Yeah, I totally saw that." Again, I can't remember the guy's name. I wish I had. I should look up the list here so I can actually see the character's name.
You're thinking of the actor David Thewlis.
Yeah. Villain from Fargo season 3 this season. Oh boy, what a fucking dude that guy is. Woof. She believes that the general is Ares, right? And I like the fact that they do kind of swing in, and it's not him, right? So what's his name? David Thewlis? Yeah, Patrick. Yeah, Sir Patrick.
I also like the fact that, as far as she was concerned, when she killed him, she thought she had killed Ares. Like,
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
a immediate understanding. Like, she was kind of panicked over the fact that she killed Ares and it didn't do anything.
I also love that Ares had a point. Like, he didn't want to tip the humans. He just want to prove, like, hey, if I lay out these groundworks, they're going to just destroy each other. That's my point.
Right,
I kind of
right.
enjoyed that, too, that he wasn't...
He's
doing-
not forcing anyone to do it.
and he wasn't... He had a goal in mind, right? He was just not doing shit. I'm fucking evil. And
And if you think about it, not only, I mean, he succeeded incredibly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you blame Ares for basically World War I, he did a pretty good job. he was very.
Yeah, I think my
Very
difficulty
influential.
was I wasn't a big fan of who they cast for Ares.
Well, hold on. I want to talk about that later because Kevin wants to talk about the big fight. And I want to talk about him. I want to go back to something I mentioned earlier, which is the no man's land scene, and the scene that to me that's the definitive scene in this movie. She's in the trenches and she's like, well, we have to go fight. They're like, no, you can't. We've been shooting at each other for years. It's nothing going to happen. And she's like, no, fuck this. I'm going to go.
Yeah, like it's a build up too. It's
Right.
like as they go in, she sees all these things at the animals and all this stuff. So it's like,
yeah.
And another compliment here, because I'm going to next come in with a complaint, is that scene is so great, not only because it's cool, which I hope is where you're going with this, but it's motivated by character.
Right.
She makes a choice to go out there that's totally consistent with who that character is, and those guys follow her.
Right.
So it's a great action scene that is also a good character scene.
Yeah.
Because
I was a little teary-eyed at that moment.
Right?
Yeah. And I knew it was coming. It was the setup, and I mean, it was not even the scene itself. It was her. Like,
you see Chris Pine go first with his guys, and the other soldiers are being held back.
Yeah, and then they're go.
Then they're set free to go as well. So it builds as an action scene and as a character scene.
Well, her motivation to
and it was so pure. It's just so pure. I mean, when he felt it coming, I was just like, it's her. It's her. Yeah,
right. That entire scene, she's like, well, you have to. I have to stop this. It's not like, oh, I can beat him and you guys can do this. She's like, no, I see a problem. I have to fix it. I have the ability. And she goes out and does it. And man, I was trying to think of my favorite fight scenes in the comic book movies. I think my absolute favorite fight sequence of any fashion is in Winter Soldier, not the elevator scene. A lot of people go to the elevator scene. No, the scene with Nick Fury when he's running away from the Hydra guys in the car. That car chase scene is probably my favorite fight scene in any of the modern comic book movies.
Like a whole new blanket here, man. This is something I have to think about. You can't just fucking throw this at me, man.
This is probably number 2.
Let me go a different way, though. Instead of fight scenes, I'm going to go back to Donner again.
Yep.
Superman saves Lois Lane in a falling helicopter.
Yeah.
If anybody's seen the movie, that's the debut of Superman. Yes. This is the debut of Wonder Woman. We've seen her on the island.
Yeah.
This is the public, quote unquote, on a battlefield debut of Wonder Woman. So I'm going to match it up with that Superman scene rather than my favorite fight scene, as just like the music's going, the characters using their powers, and you just go, yes, exactly.
I mean, I think the Burton Batman where the opening scene with him too is one of the better kind of that first time you see a character. I love that opening scene. I mean,
Even though
it's
he
real
can't turn
early
his
in the
neck.
movie. What's that?
Even though he can't turn his neck.
That doesn't matter. It's real early, but when
Yeah.
the
He's
guy
holding the guy off the edge of the building.
yeah,
right?
Well, as
yeah,
a kid,
yeah.
I never even noticed it. It was not
No.
until I was older.
Yeah.
Oh, wait
I don't
a
even
minute.
care now. It
Yeah.
doesn't bother me.
Well, and this is something I kind of actually realized because of Wonder Woman. Some of my favorite scenes in a lot of this stuff have nothing to do with big, powerful
Oh,
people.
I'll
like
tell you my favorite scene at the
stopping
end here.
a mugger, stopping somebody who has
Yeah.
no chance whatsoever against the superhero there, but the superhero embodying that sense of protection of others.
Well, you're
love.
talking
Just
about
makes a great scene.
You're talking about flashbacks to the Donner stuff where she blocks
Yeah, in the alley.
in the alley.
Yeah,
That's
and
a direct,
there's even a bullet in the palm.
yeah, that's a direct callback.
It's
to,
a
Yeah.
direct callback to
And that was a great scene too in Wonder Woman.
yeah. Toby,
Ah.
you're starting to say something.
fight scene favorite.
No,
okay.
fuck fight scene.
Oh, he was saying favorite scene in the
my
movie.
favorite scene in the movie is when she keeps going on and when the Irish guy goes, "I want
Yeah.
to stay behind."
Yeah.
And the first thing she says is like, "Well, who will sing for us?"
yeah.
Like that to me was my favorite scene in the entire movie because that's kind of who she is as a character. It's out of pure love that she goes who as a human, is going to do this for us. It's like inspirational. So
Yeah.
that to me made the character for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask
Go ahead,
this
Charlie.
before we keep going a bit farther. I still am dying to know Toby's big, furious
yeah.
Ryan stuff.
Is this for the end?
I'm gonna keep teasing this
Okay.
along
Okay.
because I just want to annoy him as much as he annoys me during the fucking movie.
So Kevin, you didn't like something.
Okay, I have two.
Don't tell me my favorite scene is your
No, no. I'm going to give my small complaint here.
Okay.
And the big one come later.
At the end.
Bigger.
Yeah.
As much as I enjoyed watching them, I just it at times felt a little Epcot Center tour of Europe, meaning look at Steve Trevor's group. We've got the drinking, brawling Scottish guy in a kilt, the stoic Native American. The other guy, they didn't identify his ethnicity, but he's wearing a fez, a scheming Middle Eastern guy who's like trying to pick the pockets. I just went, that felt very simple. And
Well, here's the thing. You said that in 2017, it's kind of racist. You said it in like 1917. I think it's actually kind of accurate. I think those characters all work.
I'm not saying they're racist.
Whilst-
I'm saying it's cliche.
Well, they are stereotypes, but I feel like they were not. They fit the roles those characters were. I didn't feel like they were cliche and were like you're kind of rolling your eyes at them. I believed them all.
I'm glad they at least
Well-
spared us seeing scalps on that Native American's belt. I mean, because that's the
Yeah.
next step. That would have been the next step.
So for me,
I did like how he called out the white people. He goes, "These are the people that took out my people."
Well, and he's even right.
Yeah.
He's even like, there's a reason for him to be
Yeah.
there. There's
And
an
I-
actual
and I like
rationale.
that Diana made her think again.
Yeah.
She goes like, "Wait a minute," because there's multiple things that make her go, "Wait a minute," about some of these guys. But I kind of love that scene when Steve goes like, not Steve, the Native American goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, my people been taken out." She goes,
Yeah,
"Oh, by
Chief.
whom?"
I mean,
she goes
okay.
like, "By his people."
His nickname is Chief. That's racist, but it's exactly what they would have called him, right? So to me, it's like I
yeah,
think the showing. I think that's a very important scene because it does show both sides of this relationship, and that much like
that
the war.
Steve is not as clean as he is. And
Right.
it's not
Well,
necessarily
but-
him, and it could be his people, and so
Well,
on.
even Steve is
So-
like, we have to just go. We have to just let these people die. We have to let these animals
and he
die
even
and
calls him
children
himself
die.
out. He goes, "I did this, I did
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and did this." Yeah,
and that was very early on in the movie where all the stuff she wanted to fight against, she was seeing in the people she was choosing as her companions. It's not
Yeah.
like anybody was squeaky clean around her.
yeah.
Yeah, just Steve's whole scene where he's like,
But
when you're in the trenches, and he's like, we just have to go. You
yeah.
can't save everyone.
Yeah.
She's like, well, fuck that. I'm going to go try. But he couldn't. His people
Yeah.
couldn't. The army couldn't. She can though.
Yeah.
Or at least she can try.
And it's funny because he done saw it right away and go, fuck?
Yeah.
She's taking all the fire. We got to go do this other
Yeah,
shit, right?
yeah,
and because
yeah.
of him going at like the other guys were like, oh shit, we can actually
do this,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think what it is I think they needed to show differences in people and bring it to the point of his people did it to my people, but they're still working together.
Yeah.
They're still a team. They're still a family. They're still a group. There's still this tight knit relationship that
I don't
that
object
builds.
to any of that.
Yes, it's cliche to a point, but I don't see how you would do it any other way.
I mean, it could have been a group of just British soldiers that he takes with him.
I don't even object
Right.
to multi-ethnicities of his band
Yeah.
of spies. And again, I'm talking about a minor speed bump in my enjoyment.
yeah.
I was just a little disappointed that they went with the most cartoonish. It's like something, okay, here, I'll compliment it. It's like something you would find in a 1960s DC comic, a Silver Age, where they're trying to represent every ethnicity on a team.
Right. Like Super Friends
Yes.
that you were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's.
I just have Legion of Superheroes flashing through my head.
So we move in or we move on here, and I like the fact that it wasn't just a big brawl when they go to the dance. There's lots of you have the German.
Well, you have
General-
you have the throwback conflict dance.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's the whole thing is the dancing under the mistletoe, right? From Batman Returns, which they did in Dark Knight Rises. The conflict dance, right? That's what they had in a sense. There is that little.
Here's my minor complaint about the movie. The dance was... Oh, not that dance. Oh, it's another dance. Sorry, my shit is later. Teaser. Sorry, keep going.
The dance we're on right now is the Steve and Diana
Yeah.
dance.
That's a lovely dance. I kind of like that.
I mean, I'm just saying the whole.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
I was making sure I knew which dance.
Yeah, that's
you
why
were-
I caught myself. I have a thing for later, but I actually kind of thought that was a lovely scene.
Yeah.
I'm a little mushy kind of guy, so I kind of like
Yeah,
that
it
shit.
was, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like just their.
This movie made me want to go live where it snows.
They have to just keep trying to get to who they think is Ares.
Yeah.
We get more Dr. Poison. I mean, we're kind of. You can kind of speed through the middle of it as far as plot wise, just because it's sort of like, well, they're trying to fight this guy. They keep going, and I mean, we eventually get to the end. But if there's stuff you want to hit in before we get to the end, because I think a lot of us will have comments about that.
Okay.
What do you?
My other dance?
Yeah.
The other dance. Okay. The fucking sword is cool in the scene, but then when you start thinking about where the fuck is the sword gonna go? I know it's movie magic and it's just a fucking top piece, but in reality,
She's walking in the ball gown with the sword down her back.
Yeah.
through her
That's
butt,
it. Yeah.
basically. I'm like,
And then
And it turned flat to her back.
But then the guy, when the general, I can't even think of his name now.
Yeah.
yeah.
The bad general.
Oh, yeah,
okay, I'll
touches
just go
her
with
by
that.
the back and
he
dances
clutches
her,
her
yeah.
by the back and
Yeah.
they're slow dancing.
Yeah, I can't look. The scene when she walks in
Ludendorff.
is cool, but then it's like, where the fuck is the sword going?
Where is his hand? He's
Yeah.
not feeling a bit
Yeah.
of
Truffles?
Yeah,
What?
and then
Ludendorff like the truffles?
and then when she lets that when she lets that blue gown go,
Yeah.
her sword is by the side, not on her back. I don't know. Sorry, that's very minor of a thing that like I was like
Leanne did comment. She's like, "There's no way the hell she had her costume underneath that dress. How the hell did you do that?"
yeah. It's minor thing. It's cool.
Doesn't
It
look
looked
like-
cool.
It's her
You know
god
what?
magic.
I'm going to put that in the same category that I read online a complaint about in an all-female society they wouldn't be shaving their armpits. I'm just going to say that's something you just got to go with and accept it as part of the movie and move on.
Yeah.
Maybe they just don't grow armpit hair.
Maybe.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
So
Did we get to see the under armpit things? We did.
Every
when they're
time
swinging
somebody
around.
pulls a bow or arrow or swings a sword.
And they were clean.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
legs
unless
were shaved, too.
So unless we're gonna
Good for them.
Unless we're gonna miss any, unless I'm missing any major points, let's kind of hit up to the end here because, my kind of sole complaint as goofy
The
as
sword
it is,
in her ass?
No,
Oh.
does come here at the end. I think Kevin. I think you have the complaint that I think the few people that have told me that they didn't like it have all had the same complaint, that the back fourth of the movie or so turns into generic DC Comics, way overblown
At
fight
night.
scene. At night, Zack Snyder fight scene. Is that your complaint?
This is the big one. Got to make it count.
I was disappointed when what is the character's name? David Thewlis is the actor.
Yeah. I mean, Ares?
Sir Patrick.
Sir
Sir Patrick.
Yeah.
When Sir Patrick showed up and we had the reversal that's Ares, I thought, okay, cool. He's possessed by Ares. I didn't know that Ares actually looks like David Thewlis because when they show the flashback, he's still got the mustache.
We actually
for
talked
God's
about
sake,
his porn mustache
Okay.
from like his
Okay.
godly porn mustache.
I was disappointed after all of the good stuff leading up to it. And here's where I'm going to give the nod to.
That he can't change his face?
No, here's where I'm going to give the nod to Donner's Superman. Although Luthor and Otis were ridiculous, it didn't end with Luthor in a power suit punching with Superman in the air. There was a different challenge that Superman had to solve, and I'm sorry that in this it came down to Wonder Woman out fighting somebody in a fist fight.
So, my response to that is I don't mind the fact that she fought Ares. I didn't really like the lightning sort of part of it. That didn't
That's
quite work
Zeus's?
for me. No, I got what they were going with,
Yeah.
but that's not what I kind of associate with Diana. Like, there's nothing that makes me go, she should be using lightning to... And I kind of hated that scene when she finally defeats him and the skies part and everybody's like, let's be friends now. And like that.
And there was no war ever again.
Yeah.
Ares is dead.
Well, of course, of course, that's those people were probably specifically being
Yeah.
controlled
Yeah.
by him. So as far as Ares goes, that is my one complaint. I was waiting for it when the armor was building on him. I was waiting for him to have that George Perez classic, like black face with the red eyes.
yep.
Yeah, because I can't deal with that mustache. I mean, the guy's incredible, dude.
No,
if you're not watching Fargo. Holy shit! This season.
The actor is fine, but the second he goes into Ares' armor,
It's a little goofy.
And then they do the flashback to the. It's not peppered. It's not like.
Well, he
silver
didn't need to
and
look like
peppered.
it could just be a human body that he had constructed.
Right. I expected, like if I was going to Toby this movie, when he gets into the armor, he would be like, it would just his face would dissolve to that black face with the red eyes, and that's it. It'd be like
That would be
perfect.
cool. That would be cool.
perfect. Because this is a guy. He's not pretending to be this guy. This is sort of his human
Ares.
guys. But now he is, because of the energy of the war, he's been able to reform his like real body back. That's my. And again, the littlest of complaints. I thought the fight scene was fine. Her reflecting like the lightning. The Gail Simone run of the comics had that. She's again, you can play a little fast and loose, especially connected to the gods. I'm not against her being able to do some power, have some powers with that, with lightning. She's not Thor, but in an extreme circumstance, she's able to kind of like take it and then shoot it right back at him. I didn't have a problem with that. Now, when I saw the big fight scene, I thought, okay,
She's Bishop.
yeah, I thought, okay, this is going to be what people are complained about. And to me, if you didn't like the Batman v Superman one, or you didn't like the Men of Steel one, I although I did, they do go on for quite some time. This was, as far as big, massive superhero final battles go, fairly subdued. Her fight with Ares wasn't too long. Now, I only saw it the one time, so maybe it'll feel longer the second time. I don't know. But this wasn't like the fight scene with Zod. It wasn't like the Doomsday fight scene. I feel like this fight scene was fairly subdued. And half of it was she wasn't fighting him to beat him. She really was, the goal here was to let Steve, like help Steve and help these people win their fight. It's just that Ares was there, so she's trying to help get the plane out. She's doing her part of the mission while they do their part of the mission. If she wasn't there, they wouldn't have even got that far. Ares could have stopped them at any point. So
I'm
to
not
me,
disagreeing with that, except for the fact that at that point,
Steve's in
the
the air.
fact she lands on the runway for that scene was just happenstance. Like, she was kind of frozen in the fact that she thought she killed Ares and it didn't change anything until Ares actually showed up.
Right. But Steve was still trying to get out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, I love the fact that Steve didn't give up. He goes, this is not over. And she kind of at that point go, well, it should be over. Why isn't it over?
Yeah.
She was in disbelief. And I kind of loved it that Steve goes, like earlier in the movie where he goes like, we got to move on. We can't help these people.
Yeah.
He goes like, we can't stop. I have to keep doing what I need to do to help stop this war, basically.
Yeah. So, I like the fight scene
in that character that I really enjoyed in this movie.
Yeah, again, this is superheroes. They're going to be big fight scenes. Had they found a different way to do it, would I have mind? No. I mean, if there was a better way to do it.
I think the fight scene itself was okay. It wasn't the disaster porn that was, Man of Steel with the Zod fight, and it wasn't just the back and forth boom, 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 boom with the Doomsday stuff. This had, it had stuff going on. It had, there was the tank being thrown, and he was using his powers to make the weapons and the metal fly and all that stuff, and she was using her lasso. So there was a lot of stuff going on. But again, I think that what really hampered the fight scene was, again, that it's not Ares, right? Black face, red eyes. It's this actor with the weird mustache. With something.
I mean, the fight scene
was... If you
was...
take out our preconceptions of what Ares should look like, I'm not going to hold it against them, the fact that they continued having him look like that. I loved the way he formed the armor. Yeah. I loved...
This is like comic book guy complaining. Not average viewer complaining. Yeah. That I think that would have been But then he would have just been a giant monster, and maybe that is less meaningful and less impactful.
I got to add one more thing here. There's a scene that I think the movie doesn't have that it absolutely, in my opinion, has to have. You have to get it in there. Cut the bookend if you need more time. Put it at the end of the credits. Put it in the middle of the credits. I don't care. You have to have it. She's grown up her whole life being told she was formed from clay and brought to life by Zeus, which is one origin from the comics. The other origin is she's the offspring of Zeus and Hippolyta.
Right.
So they worked both origins in.
They imply heavily in this movie that, because they're like, we can't tell her.
Yes.
And they don't ever come back to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when she has the lasso around Ares, he tells her, actually, you're Zeus's daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like the Luke, I'm your father scene. There has to be a scene where she confronts her mother about this. If you can't have her back on the island, do it through a crystal ball or a magic lake. I don't care. It would be like Vader telling that to Luke, and then it's just never addressed. And before anybody says they're saving it for the sequel, it's a part of the story of this movie because this movie was about her upbringing. The sequel, she's off alone in the world.
Well, I mean, it just depends on where... I think it also depends on where the sequel falls. Because if it falls closer to this movie...
It's an emotional beat from this story, and I'm just saying, in my opinion, you've got to find some way to get that in there.
You don't think she just accepts it because she calls him brother at the end?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about her thinking it's a lie. I'm talking about her saying, "Mother, why did you tell me this my whole life?"
But the narrative changes if she has a way to reconnect with family. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't have been good to see a fallout like that, but if you want to continue the narrative of she left Paradise Island and doesn't know how to get back, doesn't know how to communicate with everybody she
They never really
with.
acknowledge that, though.
Yeah, if you have to, then do it something like after Krypton exploded, Superman can still talk to the hologram of Jor-El in the Fortress of Solitude. Something, somehow, some way, a magic globe where you get one message with your mother before it dissolves for anything. I'm not even saying these are good ideas. I'm just throwing out ideas. Anything. I just think you need to tie off that emotional
It can
bow.
show up in her armbands.
Whatever.
Do you think you actually need it to be real? And what I mean by that is, could they have done something like they did with Jonathan Kent in BVS?
Yes.
Where he has the conversation with...
Yes. I think that would work fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
I just think it's a bow that needs to be tied, and then you can close this chapter of her story and go fresh into the next one.
We got a ton of questions and talk some box office numbers here, too.
Well, do we get Toby's?
Yeah, final thoughts. I mean, everyone...
Toby's huge.
Well, we didn't talk about Steve Trevor that much yet, and I thoroughly enjoyed his character.
He was great.
And as a guy that grew up, and Char will laugh at me, on Knight Rider, believing that one man can make a difference. He kind of embodied that in this movie. I felt like,
Yep.
in his way, of course, but he kind of embodied that. The fact that he at the end smiles at Diana, going, "I have to do this," knowing that he's going to give up his life to do a mission. Basically, I mean, that just a beautiful scene.
Now, I want to throw something out here.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a bitch.
So when this movie was announced and said it was going to take place in World War One, and Chris Pine was going to play Steve Trevor, I said, okay, cool, that's fine. Clearly, we're going to have his great-grandson, Steve Trevor, running Argus in the Justice League movie. Fine, right? Played by Chris Pine, right?
Why can't he have a family that didn't get brought up?
I mean, he talks about not having family. Or
Oh, he
anything like
does?
that. Yeah, he talks about it.
Sorry, okay.
Here's the thing. From his perspective, you see he turns around and he shoots that. He shoots the gas.
Yeah.
It's not like it immediately explodes. We have a scene down on the ground, and then Diana looks up and the plane explodes. You don't see a body. He ain't dead. Now, that doesn't mean that he necessarily...
So he's going to come back with
obviously
one
die
arm,
at some
and
point.
He's going to be controlled by the Russians, and
maybe. All I'm saying is there could very easily be a scene in the sequel where she's like, Steve, you're in 2017. He's like, oh, I'm his great-grandson.
he got frozen in ice.
I
It
was
was snowing.
But for whatever reason, Steve says he has to pretend he's dead, and everyone has to think he's dead, so he can't talk to Diana. And now Steve Trevor is running Argus as his great
He's
grandson.
another god. I'm kidding.
So, in theory, Diana's not the last god, by the way, because
Yeah, he also-
Zeus is, in theory, still around.
Yeah,
And you also have plenty of other things.
Well, they
to do
don't-
with, because you have God. Who's the
Ares
goddess of
doesn't
love?
kill like all the
can't remember.
gods. Is that what
They
they say?
said Ares killed all the gods
Except for Zeus.
except for Zeus, who
Then
struck
they
him
said
down.
The quote was, Zeus used his dying breath to create this island. That's what Hippolyta in the narrate when she's telling little Diana the story.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't catch
Like
the
it-
dying breath part.
That feels like
yeah.
this is
I
the
remember
story
that.
the Amazons have been told,
Yes,
right? And
yeah.
that's because especially if how would Zeus have had
Who's the goddess of love?
a kid with Hippolyta? How would Zeus have a kid with Hippolyta if he was dead?
Very careful.
Right. So like this is the story.
Well, that was actually
she
one
could
of
have
the
a weird
things
knack for
that-
dead people. No, I'm kidding.
No, the one thing I was kind of curious about, just when you get into the formed from clay origin, if the idea is that Zeus brought her to life, it's possible that he used the last of his power to transfer it into. And
Yeah. Well,
They could be going
I
with
mean,
that.
even if you use the clay origins, she has god-like powers, and Wonder
Yeah.
Girl does as well. They were given these powers by the gods.
Well, okay. So this is the thing: is the gods are still influencing, right? I mean, they could be dead, they could not be dead. But if they're not dead and they're influencing, like Ares is influencing, right? You could easily have Eros and Aphrodite influencing events, and they could snatch him out of.
well, that's where I was going with that. If any of the gods survived, there's no reason to believe that they couldn't. That
That
They-
breeze feels so nice.
basically,
Toby,
if the
good
gods
job.
have the ability to create a island where people don't age, they'd have the ability to grab any mortal and put him somewhere where he doesn't age.
Because I read from what I gleaned from Azzarello's run, the gods are influencing things a lot in their.
Yeah, the gods aren't dead in the comics.
They're messing,
they're all
messing
there.
around with things and so on and so
Yeah,
forth. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's not a stretch to say that's not going to happen. It's just
No.
going to be funny that if they pull Steve to the future, you're going to have two Steves that got pulled to the future.
No. No, it would be. I mean, I don't think it would make any other
Did
sense.
they ever say that he was actually going to be in the future movies?
No, but
So
I
that's
figure,
just your theory.
I mean, in the comics, Steve Trevor works for Argus, right?
Yeah, but
If they're going to go with that, that's how you do it. I mean, they're not going to have Chris Pine in one movie and be like, "Go, goodbye, see ya." Like, no, they're going to have him back for a sequel, and it'll be his grandkid. Great grandkid or
Especially
something.
given how much people like the character.
Yeah, and you know, with people like Wonder Woman, it's perfectly fine for her to also fall in love with his great grandson because that's just things are different when you're
Or
immortal.
fall in love with Bruce.
Maybe he's a clone
doesn't
of
Steve
the
Rogers do
original
that
Steve
too?
Trevor.
Yeah. Agent 13.
Yeah.
And that's her
Sharon
granddaughter,
Sharon?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely want to see it again. I'm going to try to go see it in the XD screen, which is kind of like the IMAX one we have around here. I want to check that out. One of my friends went to see it in D-Box. I wonder how that is. It was like $25 a ticket or something crazy. But
What did he say about that experience?
he said it shook the poop out of him.
Is that Jeff?
No.
I could see him saying that.
I've never been in one of those D-Box movies, and I don't know that I want to.
I don't.
I'm
I'm going to save that kind of stuff
normally.
for a ride at an amusement park.
Yeah.
When I'm watching a movie, I want to just watch the movie.
Yeah.
The only movie I was ever really, really tempted to go see in D-Box was Inception. Like, that's the only one where I'm like...
I think I'd
that could
vomit if I tried to watch that movie in one of those.
Star Tours is like the perfect length for that.
yeah, 30 minutes,
Yeah.
30 seconds. Yeah, not 2.5 hours.
Right.
Jesus. Yeah, we got a ton of questions here, so we're going to hit some of these, and we'll have more to say about Wonder Woman through the remainder of this. We got to do our random picks before we get out of here as well. So, I'm going to keep this stick this mostly to Wonder Woman stuff because I got some non-Wonder Woman questions here. But let's get to those. This is from Nick on Twitter. He says, "Do you think this will be the tone going forwards for the DC universe, and will Justice League be of a similar tone?"
Wow, fucking hope so.
You know, according to what's his name?
Jeff Johns?
No. Oh well, Johns has said that
Joss Whedon?
there's going to be some changes. But Whedon, that he's not really changing the stuff, the reshoots he was doing in the extra scenes he filmed for Justice League were all in the Zack Snyder tone. But I feel like this is not just Jeff Johns and Patty Jenkins.
Look,
this movie wouldn't have happened if there wasn't already an idea that we wanted movies like this. This doesn't happen in a vacuum.
We shit on the other movies so much, but
You guys do.
I love Man of Steel. I keep trying to remind people of that.
know.
Yeah, it's just the other two I didn't like so much. I actually don't know where I was going with this.
Well, what was so refreshing here?
Oh, I know.
Go,
Sorry.
go.
I remember before I forget again. I'm like an old lady with fucking memory at this point. God, fucking
That was almost set up too perfectly.
All right, I got it. Look, when I watch BVS, one of my complaints, and I don't know if I'm true with this fact or non-fact, is one of my complaints was I felt like Snyder didn't understand Superman. That was one of my genuine like thoughts about the movie. Look, this is not how I see this, and I think he sees someone else.
Well, can I comment on that real quick?
Sure.
His comments in the past have been he's a huge comic book fan.
Sure.
And the comics that he loved was Dark Knight and the stuff from the 80s where that Superman.
Yeah.
Right? And so,
But look.
but that's not traditionally
everybody's
how
Superman.
people see Superman.
Yeah, and I think he was missing a part, and I felt like, again, that's his vision of it, and just because I don't like it doesn't mean he's wrong, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying I see a different character, and I felt like he didn't understand the character.
Mm-hmm.
With this, I truly felt like they knew exactly what she should be.
Yep.
Like, from the beginning to the very end, I felt like this is Wonder Woman to me.
And
you could change some of the origin stuff. You could change some of the war, whatever.
And
to me, this was Wonder Woman,
and it's part obviously a lot of it's Patty Jenkins.
Yeah.
It's part Alan Heinberg who wrote the script,
and he wrote a run of Wonder Woman too.
And he's a great comic writer, and it's definitely part Jeff Johns who said we're going to make we're going to take
and
that
I'm really
element.
happy this all worked out. And this, like I said, Patty, Jeff, everybody behind Warner Brothers to make this happen. I mean,
so the thing that I just feel the need to say here, BVS, Man of Steel, a lot of these stories tend to be very, very dark, and that darkness tends to seep into the characters on the screen too.
Yeah.
The difference for me with this movie, especially taking place in World War I, is it still had a lot of the same dark tones and themes, but the hero still represented hope and change and sort of the idea of things can be better.
Look at Flash this season. We talked about the finale the other week, right? This season, the first 2 years you have in the Flash TV show, there was dark stuff going on, but Barry was very optimistic. This season, it was dark stuff going on, and Barry was just a fucking bummer the whole season. And you're like, that's not Flash, right? Yeah. I want to see this character be the light in the darkness. You know, Batman could be dark in the darkness or in the light. It doesn't matter. But Wonder Woman and Superman should also be brighter characters.
I felt like this still fit within that sort of darker world tone that Zack Snyder has set up in the other movies.
No,
It's just the character embodied something different.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing I think we're missing, or one of the biggest things we're missing, is that Gail did such an amazing job expanding Wonder Woman from what she was given from BVS. No,
Gal.
Oh, Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot. Sorry, she was given. She expanded what she was given in.
Oh yeah, she had a whole movie.
Yeah, she had a whole movie. But the thing is I mean, in this, she runs the gambit of where, you know, a hero is when they start to where the hero is when they end. You know, she's a strong character, but she's also a naive character. You know, there's so many facets going on, and
I mean that's great on her, but also to the writers and Patty. I mean, that's everybody there.
No, but the thing is Jenkins did an amazing job. All of it's her vision put together with the writer and the cinematographer and everybody else. But I think that also, I mean, just looking, you know, the actor that you get to put in that role really, really has to shine through and bring it out. Like Christopher Reeves in the Superman, I saw him as Clark Kent, and yet I saw him as Superman, and he pulled off having two distinct looks. I mean, he looked like Clark Kent, kind of slouched a little bit, but then when he was Superman, he was this really strong, powerful character. And I think that, you know, Gadot did a great job in her interpretation of Wonder Woman in this film, because we see her when she doesn't know very much going in, you know, leaving Themyscira, to when at the end of the movie she's realized that things aren't always, you know,
it's pretty much Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
I mean, you draw parallels to Superman, which is true.
This is like a Disney princess movie.
Yeah, it is very much like The Little Mermaid.
And that's not an insult at all.
No, I love
it's
The Little
very
Mermaid.
much classically structured as a hero's journey story.
Yeah.
And it executes in that template. And whose question are we on, Nick? Was that the guy who wrote? About the tone?
His question at this point.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
I would say, when he's asking about, do you think this is the tone for future movies? Okay.
Okay. Right.
In the current, I'm not going back to all the comic book movies ever. I'm just talking about in our current crop. I think they've nailed it 4 times. Perfect. Robert Downey Jr. As Iron Man. I'm talking about nailed the character from the comics. Chris Evans as Captain America. Whether or not they look exactly like the drawn version, I'm talking about the performance.
They look exactly like the drawn version too.
And excuse me, I said 4 times. I meant 3. This is 3. This is number 3. She's perfect. And to me, the reason I don't like Man of Steel that much and despise BVS is that Superman to me should be closer to the character in this movie. Like as far as view of the world, the hopefulness. There's plenty of dark characters. There's plenty of ways to explore the shadow side of humanity. To me, Superman should be closer to this character than what we've gotten so far. And so my hope is that if the success of this movie, you said you're going to talk about the box office, could kind of be something that kind of, I don't want to say, kind of drags the rest of the DC universe in that direction.
It's like the guiding light.
So
that would be a good thing to me.
Yeah. And that's what I meant by my
Lassos
statement.
the truth and says, this is what you're supposed to do, idiots.
So I do have to acknowledge one thing just because of what Brock was saying about Gal's performance. So my favorite scene in BVS was the scene where she gets knocked down and she kind of gets that excited look on her face and rushes back in.
She's a warrior.
Her facial expressions throughout this movie communicating so many things.
Yeah. I'm really glad this worked out because I was rooting for her since the very
how much
beginning.
she can communicate just with her face.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I read somewhere that she was 5 months pregnant during some of the shooting of the film.
Yeah, she had a kid shortly after.
Yeah.
So.
That's an achievement in itself.
It's from Blake. He says, not a question, but I just wanted to... that new DC movie logo looked great. like straight out of the Justice League cartoon.
Yes, Blake, thank you, because it's the real Aquaman. It's not whatever that garbage is that's in that Justice League trailer.
Not talk shit about Momoa.
Dude,
I'm not talking about the actor. Imagine, Toby, imagine him as Namor. That would be fantastic.
you were gonna turn in 7 months or 6 months or whatever, and be like, yeah, I was totally wrong. Aquaman's
I can't wait to see the armored Flash.
Aquaman's amazing.
Nothing says speed like heavy armor.
He'll be in his regular costume by the end. I have faith.
Okay.
I turned to Leanne after that aired, after that logo came up, and I was like, "That's new." And you know what's so funny? Right when Marvel actually takes all the comic book stuff out of their movie logos, because they've replaced their logo, right?
Ryan on your sings.
Right when Marvel does it, DC puts the comic characters right in.
Ryan.
Because the Marvel ones are all the movies now. They're not the comic books.
Yeah.
Put the comic shit back in, Marvel. Remember your roots. It wouldn't be there without it. It's from
I did like the comic book beginnings.
Yeah, it was
or
great.
the logo
Yeah, me
thing.
too. Yeah.
With the little, with the page
The
sounds.
page
and stuff.
turning, yeah.
I really actually truly love that.
Problematic Cartoon says Wonder Woman is good, close to great. DC finally figured out how to make a Marvel movie complete with weak villain, which I actually disagree with.
Is that Bryce's code name on Twitter?
Maybe. That's Bryce Larson quotes. I don't think Ares was a weak villain. I thought, if you were to take the pantheon of Marvel villains in the cinematic universe, he's maybe second only to Loki. Like, if you were to compare him to the Marvel villains, I think Ares was.
Well, I also just liked it that he was just guiding people to do shit.
Yeah.
Like he didn't.
A lot like Loki.
That's how I wish it had been
Yeah.
all the way through.
Okay.
Well, I think the thing is you have the German. I can't. Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
The German guy and Dr. Poison.
Yeah.
Right, as kind of these grounded, realistic.
But
With these villains, even though he has these kind of powers that elevate him a little bit up to being on par with Wonder Woman, but the jump we are taking is to a god, but she's a god herself, so it's not that much of. There's no jump because she's both. She's both human and god. Like,
yeah, I didn't. Did anyone? I like this. This feels like a weird complaint to me. I don't know anyone that complained about the villain in the movie. You could complain about the fight, but the villain, like the actual villain himself, I thought the villain was great.
Yeah.
He says the final battle kind of fell apart, especially with the shitty Mortal Kombat looking background. Again, I mean, it's a superhero movie.
I
It's a
kinda
fight
agree,
scene.
though.
I don't know.
The main. So, as I said, I wasn't a big fan of the skies part, and everybody starts.
picking
And
each other up and
hugging.
hugging.
And I wasn't a big fan of the scene where the plane blows up and Wonder Woman just goes on a rampage.
Yeah. Plus that she just happened to be tied down. It was very convenient.
Like there was something about the way those two things were kind of staged where I'm like,
But I do
that
like
was a misstep.
I do like Chris Pine looking back and just smiling and did that.
The fact they
Chris
did
Pine.
that with they maintained Steve Trevor's significance without moving him forward in time, which I love. I love the fact that his character now resonates something with Wonder Woman. So having the little note at the end of "Thank you for giving him back to me"
I thought that was kind of nice.
Worked
actually.
really nice.
Yeah, I kinda like
was
that.
just
That's
kind
why
of
I think that's cheapened if you see even a relative of his in a future movie.
Yeah.
I think he has to be a ghost to her. She lost her trainer on the island.
Yeah.
On her way to man's world, and then she lost love. She found love and lost it.
Well,
the romantic kind.
It also makes him the personification of what mankind can be to her.
Yeah.
Have any of you seen Finding Forrester?
Yes.
Bruce gives her an unexpected gift at an unexpected time.
I don't fucking remember it.
Who's next?
Alexis says, my Wonder Woman question, will the movie impact comic book sales? No. I mean, just no. I mean, maybe
Well,
a couple.
I actually
little.
think
Okay,
some of these
so-
little girls will start reading some Wonder Woman stuff.
I mean,
but so here's my 2 cents on how this will affect comic book sales. There'll be a lot more Wonder Woman in print for already comic fans
There
to
you go.
buy.
right. And there has. They've pumped out the trades the last couple months.
Because Gail Simone tweeted that because someone was like, "Where I saw your run, a trade of your run on Amazon for like $75." She's like, "Yeah, she's like, it's not DC's fault, but my stuff's out of print right now."
Yeah.
And it's like, but
I mean,
now
it is
I think-
DC's fault. They could put it back in the print
Oh,
anytime
yeah.
they wanted.
Yeah.
But they've been collecting all the Golden Age stuff, or sorry,
They
a
got
lot of the Golden
they
Age
got their
stuff.
Perez stuff coming.
They've got the Perez omnibus. They've
Volume
got the Perez
2 is
soft
out
covers.
this week.
All the New 52 stuff's in print, all the Rebirth stuff's in print, and they've gone back and redone a lot of...
Anybody who's new to Wonder Woman comics, wow, you've got a vast history.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said at the beginning, every run is completely different from each other.
Yeah.
Too.
And a lot more of it's available now than was available a year ago.
You can read the 60s stuff where she has no powers and she's like a spy doing martial arts.
Digitally, they started to reprint all the Comic Cavalcade and a few other books that they've reprinted certain stories in there, but they're reprinting this stuff, which is like, 80-page Golden Age comics for 99 cents. And it has all the backups and all the extended stuff that some of the stuff has never seen the light of day since its original printing. So they're going deep with the Wonder Woman Golden Age reprints.
Well, we just
crazy.
had the Wonder Woman weekend, and you can get a whole bunch of free issue 1 and the Rebirth issue from Wonder Woman
superhero
and
girls book.
For the young girls, you can get the DC superheroes.
Yep. From Sarah, she says, Ares mustache, hot or not? No, I'm sorry.
It's fucking garbage.
I can't deal with it. Again, he is incredible.
It's not the actor. Yeah.
No.
It's not the actor.
Oh my
Fucking
God.
mustache.
For the third time, if you're not watching Fargo, what are you doing with your life? This season has been incredible.
Okay.
And he's the villain.
I'm saving it until the end.
I got 2 kids. I'll
He's
get
so
caught up.
But
good.
the part, Sarah, is that who asked
Yeah.
it? Sarah, the mustache is fine in World War I.
Yeah.
But the part after the Zeus battle where he's lying naked in this cave and he still has the stash.
It's a porn
We'll just
stash.
say it's 5,000 years in the past.
Yeah.
So the look of Ares they had in the New 52. Now, mind you, he was much older, gray hair, but he also had a very pronounced mustache in the.
But like
New 52
older,
comics.
it works.
Yeah.
Like, but when you go to the younger version, it's like I don't know. It looked like somebody just slapped one of those ridiculous mustaches
So you're
stickers on
saying he
his
should have
face.
morphed into Sam Elliott or something like that?
Something.
Or had a beard.
Yeah.
Like all
Yeah.
the classic statues of the Greek pantheon.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
beards.
Yeah.
There are no Greek gods with mustaches that I've ever seen in any sculpted or painted artwork.
Just that curly haired beard. That would have been that would have been awesome.
Keith asks, I love the movie a ton. However, your thoughts on exactly how Steve Trevor and the Germans found the mascara, in addition to Wonder Woman's vague powers at the end. Well, they found it accidentally. I mean, that's how they found it. It's just, again, in the comics, it goes back and forth whether it's actually on Earth, whether it's like in another dimension.
Yeah.
But
So I don't have a problem with the fact they found it. I did find it a little weird, the plane he was in that happened to get... Because, I mean, Themyscira shouldn't be near any other land masses and all that. So that
Movie
plane,
magic.
He went in that direction and went, oh, fuck, where am I?
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah,
Bermuda Triangle. You go on one side, but you get transported way somewhere else.
And I mean, we kind of commented on this vague powers at the end. Look, blocking, redirecting lightning back at a source. I'm not a Wonder Woman expert, but I buy it. I don't know that I buy Superman being able to rebuild the Great Wall with his with brick vision. That's a little bit different. I mean, obviously that's not what they were going for in that scene.
We did not touch on this at all, but I think I loved the representation of the lasso in use.
Oh yeah, the lasso was amazing.
I thought that it was just done so well because when Pine is wrapped up in it, it's that kind of comedic tone kind of version of it, and then when she has her enemies done up in it, it's there's that defiance there, but you don't. It's like they're being compelled, so they're just giving, they're still giving a powerful truth instead of But I thought they did a really really good job with the lasso, even with her using it as a weapon. I thought it was an amazing job.
Yeah. I did a great job with it. I love the lasso. I love it. It was so kinetic looking. I love the light. Effects and everything.
Well, and it wasn't overdone. It wasn't overused.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. There's been a lot of Wonder Woman merchandise solicited around this movie. Has seeing the movie changed anything you want to get in for the shop?
I like that 112 figure coming out, but it's not out till January. Did you see that thing?
No.
The Mezco, the 112 collective figure. It's really nice.
Cool.
I mean, I've ordered everything available. A lot of it. Like, I don't even think it's not like the Wonder Woman BVS hot toy, not even out yet. That shit takes forever to come out.
Yeah.
No, I remember looking through previews and they had Wonder Woman in the training outfit, and
Yeah.
I was just wondering if, Because, I mean, a lot of that stuff sells better with
I think
a
it's
successful movie.
I think it's more of the standard look, right? Like if you had the standard, you would be able to sell maybe a few of the standard costume movie one. The training one is more of an alternative.
and that's why I was
For
just,
what? I mean, what are we talking about here?
I'm just wondering if you
Like a figure or something? Or
no, I'm just
statue or something like
statue.
that.
I'm just wondering if you, because I mean they had the Steve Trevor Wonder Woman like duo statue.
yeah, they solicited them, but they don't come out for months
they don't-
after
they
the
don't come out
fact.
for a long
Yeah, it's
ass
super
time.
frustrating.
That sucks.
I missed the boat a little bit.
Cisco, well, yeah, I mean, just unfortunately, just the way it happens.
Yeah, like the Frank Cho.
Yeah,
They got the Frank Cho one coming out.
yeah. I was just curious if you've ordered more Wonder Woman stuff.
I mean, I ordered some of them. Yeah, I didn't go crazy
Yeah,
with the movie stuff, but I ordered like the base figure. Yeah.
Okay.
I still love the Kotobukiya one. The
One from
Jim
a while
Lee
ago.
one?
Yeah.
That was
These are the
a
ones
cool
we're talking
one.
about.
Yeah.
Cisco asks, possibly stupid question: is Wonder Woman bulletproof? After watching the movie, am I supposed to believe she's a glass cannon? Amazon's the islands are dropped by bullets, and Diana uses the gauntlets and shield to deflect every bullet aimed at her.
So I'm not Raffi, I'm not a Wonder Woman expert. I actually thought the bulletproof bracelets were from all the Amazonians. I didn't know that was a Wonder Woman specific thing.
I think that's
Well-
the original origin. I think that's back in what we were talking about at the beginning with
Yeah.
the competition
Yeah.
to go to man. I think
Right.
that my memories, and
Yes.
Rafi's not here to correct me, but my memory of that Sensation Comics #1 is
That's how she wins the bullets and bracelets.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know what? You're right. I
Yeah.
kind of remember this now.
So in some of the more modern stuff, like in the New 52, they had the gauntlets contain her power to a degree.
Yeah.
So that's
In the movie, I mean, I don't think I'm misremembering this. She gets cut. She gets beat up, but when they take the bandage off of her,
She heals
and she's
faster.
already
Yeah, she's
healed.
already-
the bandage has a big blood stain on it, but
Right.
then when they pull it
Yeah.
off, the wound
She's-
is almost gone.
Right.
So
So
she's Wolverine.
she is not right. She is not bulletproof. She can get shot, but she was not going to get killed like the traditional Amazons. If she gets, I mean, if you put a gun over her head and blow her brains out, possibly. But yeah, she is.
it's a little
Wolverine can
unclear
come
based
back
on
from
the
that.
whole only a god can kill a god.
Right,
How
right,
much of that passes on to her.
Right, but she is not bulletproof like Superman. It's not going to bounce off her chest. Keith also says, I thought the movie was explicit in confirming Zeus as her legitimate father versus spiritual father, however some dispute it. I mean, we're given the word of her mom and we're given the word of the villain.
The villain who's wrapped in the lasso at the time he says it.
That's true. But does it
Yeah,
affect him?
but, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually
Right.
didn't. I actually.
I think they
kinda
leave
think
it-
didn't bother him.
Yeah, I think they leave it fairly ambiguous.
He had some control over, considering he was turning the lasso back on her at the time too.
Yeah.
But I mean, in general, I think they can make it so both origins technically work.
I kind of like
Yeah.
that. I mean, Infernal Affair / The Departed, they kind of combined the two different endings from the two Asian endings.
Yeah.
And they combined it into one.
one
and I
movie.
thought it worked
It worked.
really well. Yeah.
All right, Casey, I'm not going to pick it in here, but I'm going to pick it in here for a second. He says, why didn't the Germans speak German? Okay, now look.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. It's an American movie.
And the TARDIS was nearby.
So he actually says that there's a scene where Sammy and Diana speak different languages for a whole scene. That is because that was sort of the joke of that scene, is that they're speaking different languages. I mean, that never bothers me in a movie because... I mean, I would love if a movie was like half subtitled and half not, and they would just go back and forth. But
It's not going to happen in a movie in a big
Yeah.
not
studio
this.
movie like this.
No.
right?
I mean-
Tarantino can do it if he wants.
You'll
But-
get a little dialogue in a different language that's not important, like it's somebody screaming a command or something or whatever. But for the main stuff to convey the dialogue or the narrative, whatever, you're going to get it in English to get it as fast
So
as possible.
the only time you're going to get something in a big movie where there's a lot of stuff with either subtitles or whatnot is when that's super integral to the character that other people don't understand them. Mm-hmm. But other than that,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
going to make sure the audience doesn't feel frustrated or alienated by.
Right. When I go into if every scene in oh god, what's the Chris Nolan movie coming up called?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk. If they have scenes with foreign troops and it's all subtitled, totally makes sense. I go for Wonder Woman. I don't necessarily need like 40 minutes of the movie to be subtitled. I go see, Japanese anime. I expect it to be subtitled. I think, if I go see Triple X or whatever, I don't expect the movie to be subtitled. I don't know why I would see Triple X, but
the scenes sometimes call for it. If you look at Force Awakens when they're in the
that's alien shit though. That doesn't.
But that's the thing is
that doesn't count.
It calls for it.
Yeah, but it's also not.
But it's not
large chunks of the movie.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
To go back to the person's question, the one part where I think it would have, you couldn't just do it for one scene, but the one part of the story I think it would have been beneficial is when Chris Pine and the driver are sneaking into that gala and he's talking to them.
yeah.
Because it's just like he puts on a German accent and English, and that scene just comes off as kind of silly. But if he was just speaking German to that guy, I think that would have worked a lot.
And they show that he could speak multiple languages. That Chris Pine can speak German. So.
But you couldn't just drop it in for one scene.
That's a good call, Ashley.
Yeah.
I would have liked
No,
to see
I agree. Totally agree.
Because every woman wants to be seduced in German.
Question from Ivan.
No, it's the fucking guard.
Yeah, it's when
What are
he's
you
giving
talking
them
about?
When he's
giving
going on
them
the bridge, they're driving in. And invitation.
Okay.
Question from Ivan. I love you, Ivan. What was the theater experience like? Oh, man, no gum on the floor. It was nice and cool, clean seats.
I have found my new theater that I like because the
Century?
the fucking comfy theater are not going to work for me because I'm going to fall asleep within 10 minutes. I found a new one. It's not the AMC either, which I thought Cupertino was. I like going to Cine Arts now. It's right down the street from me.
Yeah,
not a whole
quiet.
lot of people go.
Yep.
It used to be an indie house.
Yep.
They're showing art theaters, but I think over time they realized they need to make
It's the one
some
at
money.
Santana Row, right?
Yeah. But the seats are actually quite comfy there, and it's not dirty. I actually kind of like the theater there.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna go there more
Valco
often.
here is our movie theater, and we have a big group. Now they may be changing because apparently word is downtown Sunnyvale is getting a 10-theater screen. A 10-screen theater. Let's try that again. A 10-screen theater.
You just like to keep going
and a
further
Whole
away from
By
Foods.
Target?
By
or-
Target, yeah.
Oh,
That's
really?
the rumor is that they're finally going to tear the rest of that crap down that was half built. And
For those who don't know what
remember when
Ryan
there
is
used
talking
to be a
about,
theater
this has
there.
been a project for like
For
20 years, I
yeah.
want to say.
yeah,
But it's all right. My friend has a bar right down the street from there. That would be an excellent place to watch movies.
the downtown area of Sunnyvale has been bought and sold so many times and been bankrupt. It's actually now owned, as far as I understand, by the city of Sunnyvale and Wells Fargo. The city of Sunnyvale literally owns all that property now, along with Wells Fargo, because everyone defaulted. So it's seemingly finally going to actually happen. Now, I'll believe it when it happens.
Now the new MCs are nice. I think
Yeah.
the one over past Union City, and it was nice. It was
Now,
kinda
Ryan,
like that
I know
Century
you
one.
love the Shoreline Theater with the reclining seats.
Yeah, well, no. I like that theater, but the Great Mall Theater, the XD screens over there, that is my new theater. I hated Great Mall prior, but they completely redid the theater. Great seats, a little bit bigger. I think they're a little bit better than the ones here at Shoreline.
The problem, everybody loves those reclining seats.
I love 'em.
I love them too at home. The problem is when you put them in a auditorium, you've got fewer seats,
Yeah.
so you've got smaller rooms, which means you have smaller screens, which means the widescreen movies are matted. For those who have seen Wonder Woman already or are yet to, just look for the black bars on the top and bottom of the screen. It's like watching a widescreen movie on a TV at home. Because the screens are too small to...
Mountain View, yes, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Now, what they do at the AMC here in Cupertino is that they actually drop down.
Yeah, they mask the
So they
screen.
mask the screen.
Yeah.
The XD screens at Great Mall, the black is so black, and that's why the XD screens are so nice. They're I mean, again, very similar to IMAX, except at least the ones I've been to none of them were in 3D. So it's very hard to find a non-3D IMAX for a lot of these movies when they open. But the XD ones have many 2D showings. The blacks are so black you can't see that matte. It's like it's as black as everything else around it, and that's why I don't like the one here at Mountain View, because the black of the screen versus the black of like the actual darkness of the theater.
Yeah, it's not a true
are
black.
Two different
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I prefer the other one now.
And that has been your Bay Area movie theater and real estate update.
Things you never needed to know about.
And it's expensive as shit here.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Well, wait till you're in New York City and you're paying $15 for a matinee ticket.
I did go to watch. What the fuck did I watch? I
Good
went,
story.
No, I went to the Alamo Draft House over there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize they had one over there.
Yeah, they put it in new one.
Guardians. I went to watch Guardians the second time over there with my sister and my mom. And yeah, they put Alamo Draft House over there, which surprised me because they won here. And obviously they started in Austin. But it was cool. It was like on top of a building. And yeah, it's smaller, but I thought it was really nice that they had it.
We kind of answered a bit of this, but this is Stack Tomamba on Twitter. Great name.
Because you can't say it very well.
Stacka Tomamba. No, that's right. He says, okay, he wants us to rank the movies for the DC movies, and then where do we put this with all the movies? Now, we talked. I think we all put this pretty
Number one.
number one for the DC.
Man of Steel
Current
number
DC
2.
stuff.
Yeah, for the current DC
Suicide
stuff.
Squad number
We
3.
have to just keep it to current
BVS
DC,
number
right?
4.
Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, well, he wants to know kind of everything, but it gets the movie's
to
just
think about
out. You have a little, recency bias, but
it's got gall.
I mean, when you go to all comic movies of all time, right?
Shit.
Oh,
There's
Shit, that's hard.
We're too.
Well,
we're too,
but then, like,
we're
do
too
you do
close.
eras? Do you do eras or you mix the eras?
No, he
Because that's tough, though.
he's asking
All time?
current and all
see,
time across
when
all
you get-
I need
companies.
time to
okay.
I
When you
can't
get
do
into
that.
all time, this is almost its own episode. When you
Yeah.
get into all time, do you
Shit.
want fidelity to the comics or do you want the best movie?
I mean, just what we think.
Because
Just our
if you're
question.
talking about fidelity to the comics, The Rocketeer and Ghost World have to be in any conversation of best comics
sure,
movies.
sure, sure.
So does the first Sin City.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
If you're just talking about fidelity to the source material,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think.
But as a movie, I would beg to differ.
The Rocketeer's not a great movie, but it
Yeah.
looks it looks like
No,
somebody
yeah, I
shot the
understand.
comic
Yeah,
with
yeah.
a magic ray and
Yeah.
it came to
Yeah.
life.
You have to throw V for
That's standard
Vendetta in
point.
there from hell as well.
I think when you say overall, this is definitely in the positive 50% as opposed to the negative
Fuck yeah,
50%. It's probably in the top 25%.
I mean, then you have, respect to Christopher Reeve movies that has to be in there. Like, there's certain movies that are iconic that have to be in the list.
yeah, I mean, I would say it's not too out of the realm of possibility to put this probably on all our top 15 list of superhero movies, because at this point there's been like 40 or 50 of these things. If you go down
Of
the
all
list,
superhero movies, I'll put this in my top 10.
Yeah, I'll go the same.
Maybe the back five of that, but
I
definitely
may
top
have some
10.
other movies in my top 10 that
Yeah.
other people are not thinking
Yeah, but this is-
about.
this
but-
is there.
superheroes,
Yeah.
yeah.
superheroes.
Yeah.
or comic related.
No, I mean, if you talk just superheroes, and again, there's at least 50 to 60. If you go from Superman to now,
Yeah, but like in no order. Christopher Reeve Superman has to be in there. Winter Soldier's in there. Dark Knight obviously is in there.
Yep.
The first Guardians is in there.
I don't know.
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like
We
Guardians,
don't need to go through the whole list, but yeah, this is
like
going to be.
I mean, I love Guardians myself.
Let's just say
I
Wonder
don't know
Woman
if I
top
would put
10
it
for
top
some
10.
of us.
Like top 10, top
All right,
15
done. Move
is
on.
good.
yeah. There's just so much.
Loaded question.
Cyclops on Twitter says he asked about if this would be the tone, and yeah, we talked about that. But he said also, should they have started with this as their first movie, given the positive reviews and period? I mean, you can't know that going in, right? I mean,
and then
well,
it's not like they
that and
tried to
if
make
the-
it bad movies before. It just kind of
this movie would not exist if Man of Steel
Yeah.
wasn't made,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, just straight up.
Plus, okay, and just going back to you're not going to start with Wonder Woman. I mean, everybody now looks at it and goes like, "Oh yes, of course, it's perfect."
Well, it's because it's generally loved.
But
yeah.
and if I were in the studio head's chair, I can't say I would think differently.
Yeah.
I would more likely green light a Superman or Batman movie.
Yeah.
And this is you remember the
I would
story?
still go
I
with
was
Superman.
begging them. I was begging them to make Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A decade ago.
Yeah.
And they only wanted Batman and Superman, and I couldn't argue.
Yep.
I couldn't argue. So I think it was actually smart to introduce her in BVS.
I think so too.
Whet the
will-
appetite, and then here's
Yeah.
the full meal.
I think it was that guitar riff. I mean, that's just what sold it.
So for me, the way I kind of look at it is from however you want to put it.
Don't do it.
I like BVS. I like Suicide Squad, but they are flawed.
Yeah.
I will never argue that they are not flawed.
Yeah, I agree.
I would much rather go in a positive direction than start with Wonder Woman and then go this.
Yeah. Because, I mean...
Look, I feel like the ideas behind BVS, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad were legit. They're just, look, Ryan and me like some of it. Most people hate a lot of it. But I feel like, generally, they didn't try to make out bad movies, obviously. Nobody does.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's legit ideas in all those movies.
And even
it just
that
didn't work.
You know, despite what I may say of a movie like Avatar, it wouldn't
Don't
make
you talk about
that
fucking... which Avatar?
Avatar, the James Cameron
Airbender?
movie.
Oh,
No.
fuck.
It wouldn't make that level of money if everyone hated it, right? Suicide Squad doesn't make $750 or $800 million or $1 billion because everyone hates it, right? Like, some people like this movie, some people just want to go see the experience. What the reviews are, a lot of these movies are a little bit review proof. I mean, Green Lantern wasn't, obviously.
I'll say this about Wonder Woman. I watched it 2 days in a row, and I'm still not bored. I'm like, I could go in tonight and watch it again. I'm like, I genuinely love this movie.
Yeah. I'm sure if the new Pirates had much better reviews, it probably would have done a little better in the box office.
It has a different name in the UK.
Does it really?
Yeah, it's Salazar's Revenge.
Really?
Yeah, instead of Dead Men Tell No Tales.
How weird.
Yeah, it threw me off because I'm like, that's not right.
How
and
weird.
I didn't figure out till later, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think people are willing to go see these. It's just, you saw it twice. You saw it twice. Charlie saw it. You said you saw it twice, right? Yeah. Again.
And my wife saw it twice.
Yeah, that's how you make big money when people go see it 2, 3, 4 times.
I'd go see it again.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to see it again.
If I got a chance.
Mario asks, do you think Wonder Woman was the best on-screen hero origin? I think if you go modern day, I'm going to go with you that Chris Evans' Cap might be the best. I loved just the origin, his whole origin and setup. It's new. I mean, I think it's as perfect as you get. The Christopher Reeve Superman stuff was as classic as you can get.
Right?
But I'm talking modern.
You know what? I'm
modern.
a big fan of the Christian Bale Batman Begins origin, although it varies from the comics significantly.
I love that one.
But it's cool.
But I think it's kind of like reimagined.
We all agree that Nolan is a separate universe.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but I mean, I'm talking modern day. Like, go like X-Men to now. Go like the
cut out the
90s.
Batman.
So the question is this the best origin?
Yeah, just like her. Like
Evans's Cap and this are I would say.
I would think, yeah.
I go Batman Begins on Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
top
even
2, top 3
grounds.
easy. Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I liked, obviously, Guardians was fun and Ant-Man was really good, and but they're different. This is really like we're going to go from near creation to current day, not just, hey, we're some characters in this situation. Like this
So
does give most of them a run for their money.
to me, it depends on if you're talking about the whole movie or if you're talking about parts of, because the way they handled Iron Man's origin
That was pretty cool too,
plucked
actually.
pretty close to out of the comics.
Iron Man
also.
is definitely top 5 modern day.
Yeah.
Easy, no question asked. Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, I felt Wonder Woman as a whole was a bit
that
stronger.
scene when he's like building in the cave.
Oh yeah,
so
you
good.
just take that
So good.
the actual like origin part and sort of separate out the Ironmonger from later in the movie and that kind of stuff. And I would say Iron Man is kind of set the tone for you can go with the comic book origin and make it work.
I still place Iron Man 1 as one of the top 3 Marvel movies.
Yeah, that's great.
I just think that, like, for me, if you look at the whole movie as the movie as a whole,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like, Cap was stronger just on the strength of the Red Skull in the movie and stuff. But no, I can't answer it right now just because I'm a little Wonder Woman obsessed right now. So.
Last comment here. This comes from our good friend Albert Soy. Says, casting Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman would be the best decision Warner Brothers ever made.
Absolutely.
A very genuine performance. Without her, it's a B- movie.
Absolutely.
And I don't know that I agree with that. I think that's a little harsh, but
I think she nailed it.
That's hard to say without knowing who would be the person in her place.
That's true, but I think there's a sincerity about her that just really worked really well in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
as I said, her facial expressions and the way she played scenes from badass warrior to complete innocent to like
naive to
it's hard to imagine somebody else being able to communicate quite the level of range. So like, I don't want to say subtly because it wasn't really that subtle, but
it just worked. It felt honest.
Pure.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk very briefly about box office because God knows I love me some charts. I love me some
you and
numbers.
your fucking numbers.
I love me some numbers. Box office mojo.
Hope you liked math class when you were in high school.
I hated math class.
I hated math. I'm still not very good at math.
Me neither.
I loved math class.
Wonder Woman opened
You
with
like
a
something, Charlie?
$103.1 million opening weekend, 3 days. Set a box office record for a opening of a female-directed feature for a female director, so character and director. It is currently sitting at $115 million domestic and $125 foreign. That's just estimate on the foreign end. So we're already double budget, and you want to.
It hasn't even been a week.
Yeah. You're talking opening week, and you're already double budget, which is pretty great.
And I think word of mouth on this movie is going to really.
Oh
carry
yeah,
it.
Well, their expectations for what it's going to do week 2, like the predictions that have come out, suggest it's going to kill the new Mummy movie.
Yeah. If it holds, I mean, it could hold 65% of its audience or something like that. If it drops 35-40%, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, Batman v Superman and Squad, I want to say they drop like 58-57%, which are big drops. If you drop less than 50%, that's pretty successful. If you drop less than 40%, that's incredible. So I'll be very curious.
I wouldn't be surprised if people actually go out and watch it that weren't big originally.
Oh, sure. Well, the number I believe was 52% female moviegoers,
Sweet.
which is the highest by far for any of the superhero
That's
movies.
fucking great.
It's usually 60-40 men to women.
Yeah.
So women came out in force for this, and hopefully a few of them dragged their idiot boyfriends to go see this movie too. Because I've talked with a few guys who were like, yeah, maybe I'll go see Wonder Woman, but I don't know. I'm not really. It's Wonder Woman. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah. I'm like,
Did
don't
you just
even
slap them.
I was fucking excited about this movie.
Yeah, no, we are, but that's not everyone. Right?
Really?
Some people are different, Toby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bryce hasn't seen it yet.
No, but he wants to. He's not. Bryce isn't seeing it because she's a girl. He hasn't seen it because he's been busy. But he's really excited to see it. And I hope by next week he's seen it so we can talk about it with him. But yes, unfortunately, if the last 140 some odd days have proven anything, it's that some people still have negative views on women. Funny that in 2017, what do you know? I'm sure in 2117 we'll be having the same conversation. But yeah, no, if you're like, Wonder Woman, she's a girl, you're a moron. Go see this movie; it's incredible. Yeah.
Well, anybody who thinks that way probably hasn't heard this deep into the podcast to hear your message.
Maybe.
So if you know somebody with that mentality, slap them and tell them to go watch this movie.
We're just all a bunch of Bay Area SJWs here talking about our girl flicks. So
What's SJW?
Social justice warriors.
don't even worry about it.
Oh.
We did get some Patreon questions, but we kept this episode all Wonder Woman, so we'll deal with those Patreon questions next week, as well as a few other questions on Twitter, so please resubmit next week. I did get all the Patreon questions, so thank you guys very much.
So when do we
we'll cover
start
that next
random
week.
picks?
This week?
Everybody picks Wonder Woman.
So, yes. Because you gave us money,
Yes, it's
bring it
finally
back.
coming out.
God, let's
Bring
do
it back.
Let's do Wonder Woman. Let's do Wonder Woman.
we're bringing
Let's do
back.
Wonder
That's
Woman.
going to be hard.
No, it's not. I go whatever the title is.
We're bringing back
the foot, with Batman's foot. No, what?
Wonder Woman's foot on Batman's
Yeah.
head. Yeah, we're the Hikatea.
Yeah.
We're going to. I like how you don't know the book you're trying to recommend. We're bringing back random
Greg
picks.
Rucka.
Which, for anyone that doesn't know, random picks at the end of every episode for this month, we're going to give a very quick little round, a recent comic or a classic trade paperback or anything that we want to recommend that you guys go check out. We talked about this a few episodes back, and a couple of people wanted more clarification on this. We don't not do reviews. We do comic reviews all the time on here. It's just we do it for very specific stuff. We don't do comic reviews on a weekly basis. Things like The Button, things like we did all the New 52 and Rebirth number ones. We did all the Marvel number ones for a number of years. We kind of do select reviews of bigger launches, major events, big pushes, new independent titles that we really want to promote.
But maybe we should bring up some of these side.
But yeah,
things.
no, but I
Yeah.
mean, we all read a ton of comics.
It's
and
a good
so
point. It's a good point.
Hitting up these random picks is a great way for us to do like some quick hit reviews.
That's true.
So I'm going to start because I have a book. I thought it was one of the best books I've read recently. I mean, it's a very recent comic. If you haven't been reading it, you're crazy because you should be reading it. But
The Flintstones?
well, Flintstones number 12 is out this week, so no, not this week. This is a couple weeks ago. This is Batman number 23 by Tom King and Mitch Gerdes. This is the one shot, the Brave and the Mold,
Yes.
the one shot with Batman and Swamp Thing. No, I haven't read Batman 24 that comes out this week, which I know a lot of people are talking about. We're not going to tell Kevin because he hasn't read it yet. I really hope, unless something else happens, I really hope that issue of Batman wins every single issue story award. It wins the Eisner. It wins any other award. That one-shot issue is so good. Batman goes to investigate a murder. It's told in like 7 or 8 chapters in a 20-page comic. So these very short, like little 9-panel spread, 2-page.
That was on the regular Batman?
Yeah, just a one-shot issue. Batman goes to investigate a murder. Swamp Thing shows up. Why is Swamp Thing investigating or trying to help Batman with this murder? You don't find out till the very end. There's some back and forth. Ends on just a gut-wrenching last couple panels. And, like, it's rare that I hear voices when I'm reading comics. I'll sometimes hear, like, Kevin Conroy's voice when I'm reading, like, a Batman comic or something like that. You know, this voice is just getting ingrained into your head. Or, like, you know, Mark Hamill is Joker every now and again. But those last couple pages, or those last couple panels, I felt like I heard Batman's true voice in my brain just screaming. And I'm like, holy crap, this comic just takes a real sharp turn. And this was not what I was expecting at all. And boy, I mean, I've been talking about it forever. Tom King just continues to be the greatest writer in comics right now, hands down, no question. But this one-shot issue, yeah, Batman 23, you need to read it. It's
on my pile.
It blew me away.
No, that's the one this week?
Fuck.
Yeah, this is
No.
another one-shot.
No, we're not talking about it.
Yeah,
The one he's talking about was the previous issue.
Oh, okay. This week is 24? Wow. Don't show me. I don't want to. I'll just buy it. I'll just buy it. Cool.
But Toby, it's super depressing. You won't like it.
Why? I
Just
like.
tell me you don't like all the depressing comics I read.
I only don't like them when they reflect the real world.
I mean, it's pretty depressing.
Is fucking Trump in it?
Well, no, not that depressing.
No, not
I'm fine with dark stories. I just don't like it when they remind me of how fucking horrible the real world is.
Brock?
I would say I would have to go with Flintstones 12 is coming out, but I think Volume 1.
Did you read it?
No, not yet. I'm saying
Well,
the
you have
volume
to read
Volume
the
one.
Volume 1 of the trade is out, and I think it's a really great place to start with the Flintstones and Mark Russell does it.
Yes, the start. It's a really great place. The one thing that's out, it's a really great place to start.
Is 12 it?
That's it for
That's
now.
it. So
Yeah.
Oh, really?
There's only going to be 2 trades, but
You think they're going to do a nice hardcover for me and Charlie?
Oh, they have
Yeah.
to.
All right.
That and Vision. I'm not buying them till they are in hardcover.
same here. Tom King, get on that.
Well, it's not up to him.
But I think the social commentary in that book has it's hit a level that I think is just really, really well written, really well done, and it's it's just great commentary on our society as a whole right now. So, which I'm really looking forward to the last issue. So, yeah, Flintstones Volume 1.
I think I have 2. I think I have to read 11 and then now 12. I think I'm 2 back. I don't want it to be over though. I don't want it to finish
It's that Vision thing. I don't want it to be over.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do when Tom King's not writing Batman?
That'll never happen. Toby, you've been gone and you've been busy. Do you have do you got an old book you want to recommend? I know you haven't.
Now I'm trying to think the entire time while you guys were talking, but
Yeah,
wanna
Kevin,
say-
yeah.
yeah.
If you go and jump in.
no, go for it.
Toby's thinking.
Yeah.
I'm going to go old. I'm going to pull a deep cut here and
Nice.
recommend a trade of one of my all-time favorite miniseries. It's called The Golden Age.
Oh yeah.
It's a Justice Society. I think technically it's an Elseworld series.
James Robinson just got reissued in hardcover.
Okay, James Robinson, writer, Paul Smith, artist. It's 4 issues 4 like large size issues.
Yeah, prestige format, yeah.
So, in honor of discussing World War II earlier, this is a World War II story. You don't need any intro. You don't need any crossovers. It's totally contained. One trade. This is a mystery. It's a spy story. It's a superhero story. It's, to me, one of the best comic minis. I know Watchmen and Dark Knight get all the glory, but there's a lot of great miniseries more under the radar. This is one of them. It's called The Golden Age.
Cool.
I believe I'm gonna have to think of the timeline on this. I want to say Golden Age predates Sandman by like a year. I think it's the thing he did right prior to Sandman. Or Sandman, Jesus, Starman. I mean,
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
It was like the year prior,
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah, it's right before Starman,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. And I'm
That Starman run is
Starman's
really highly regarded
incredible,
too, right?
Yeah. And yeah,
They could only finish printing that thing.
I didn't read it till after. Like I had read Starman, and I was like, oh yeah, Golden Age. This is the other thing he did. Yeah, Golden Age is good stuff.
Cool.
Especially if you're a JSA fan.
Yeah, and if you it's a one book and done. It's not a big purchase commitment.
Yep.
Go ahead, Charlie.
So I'm going to do a 2-part random pick for this week. Because we brought up Pick Something Wonder Woman, I do feel like suggesting the Wonder Woman True Amazon OGN they did. Like, when that came out, I bought it. I really enjoyed it. I liked the art. Now, mind you, it's extremely different than like the origin in the movie and all that. Like, don't be looking for the classic Wonder Woman tale in that book. It's just
This is the Jill Thompson.
yeah. But I really enjoyed that book, and
Was that the hardcover one?
Yeah,
the
original
little
graphic
tiny-
novel
Okay.
came out a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, year and a half.
I don't know. Time goes by way too
It
fast.
does a little too fast these days.
A couple years
But
ago, I
for
think.
my random pick for a comic, I'm going to go with Bug by the Clan.
Go, talk more about it, please. I loved the first issue.
Wait, who did it? Image?
No, the All Red Clan is what I did it just
Yeah.
because it's got here.
It's Bug, the forager, the New Gods character. It's published under Young Animal. It's Mike Allred, Laura Allred, and
Yeah,
Another
with all
Allred.
the attention the Fourth World stuff has been getting recently with the omnibus coming out and everything else, I never considered like giving Allred a book in sort of the Kirby verse,
yeah.
but his art style
Oh, it totally
for
fits
Kirby
in.
is
Yeah.
just perfect.
Okay, Kevin hasn't read it yet, so I don't want to talk about it yet.
Are you sure I will like this?
No, you would hate it. A
Doesn't have
character,
pretty people inside.
a character that, how do I say this without either giving it away or telling you who the character is? There is a very important character in this book that is in so few comics ever that gets some good play in this issue that I know you will like. You'll be like, oh, yes!
Is this from the Kirby world? Can you just tell me that much?
It's a Kirby character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
is
right.
this a family? Lee Allred, Michael Allred, and Laura Allred? Or is some of them married?
Laura and
Michael and Laura are married,
married,
right?
Okay,
yeah.
who's Lee?
I'm not sure it's another Allred. I don't know who that is. But yeah, about halfway through the book, suddenly another character pops up that's sort of like,
right.
yeah.
I just don't know what to read first, Bug or Batman 24.
No, so it's just one of those things that this fits the Fourth World
yeah.
so well,
Yeah.
and it's one of those few times where I kind of kick myself for never considering the Allred
Yeah.
for doing the art in a Fourth World book
Yeah,
because now I kind of don't want anybody else to do it.
No, I know. I mean, he's perfect for it.
Yeah.
And I'm so disappointed. Did you guys saw the solicitations for all the Kirby one shots that DC's putting
Yeah,
out?
some of them are.
They're really weak looking, and no disrespect to the creators on the title,
I thought there was one that looked okay.
but they should have.
But let me just, on a positive note, so we don't
Yeah.
end on that downer.
Yeah.
I would literally be down here banging on the door on a Wednesday morning to get that Tom King Mr. Miracle comic.
Oh, yeah, you will be. I mean, it's official, right? It's announced.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's happening.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
the Kirby one shots I can just kind of brush aside. 'cause
Oh, that Mr. Miracle book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm
That's
still
all we'll say
looking
about that,
forward
yeah.
to the Batman Elmer Fudd.
I can't say more than that, but yeah.
Okay.
That Batman Elmer Fudd's pretty soon,
Yes, I know. I can't wait.
I'm going to be a little boring with my recommendation because I feel like I just recommend the same things over and over the years. Well, I'm gonna go with Runaways just because the cast got revealed for the TV show.
New comic announced too.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I want to recommend the original. My only worry with the cast pictures is they look good, but some of the characters are older than they were in the books, and I kind of enjoyed them while they were young.
Are you recommending the Brian K. Vaughan?
Yeah, the
era?
original run. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because
Hard to have 12-year-old kids in shows, you know.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed the younger kids in those books, so I want people to go read those books and enjoy.
Yeah.
What I enjoyed. But sorry to be boring with my answer.
I think the complete collections are still available. The Brian K. Vaughan stuff is, I believe, the first 2.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe
sounds right.
part of the 3rd.
And then Whedon takes over, right?
Yeah, for an arc, and then there's other people involved. But I think they're I don't know if those are going out of print because they've resolicited at least the Brian K. Vaughan original trade paperbacks.
Oh, really?
Which I was like, just stick with those complete collections if you can. They're so much better looking.
Well, the only problem is I probably have to rebuy them all because they never finished the hardcovers, which kind of bugged me.
Did they not?
No, it's 3 hardcovers. They never continued them on.
Well, I don't think you need anything. Did they not finish the Brian K. Vaughan stuff?
Well, no, they finished him, but all the stuff later. Yeah.
You're fine. I think you're fine.
Completist, man. Comic book collector. Need it all, even if it's bad.
All right, those are our random picks.
Just ask Bryce about his X-Men.
We had our great, all our high tier backers at the beginning of this episode, but we're going to do all our great $5 backers now. It's Patreon time. Thank you guys all for your donations. Patreon.com/comicconspiracy is where you can go to kick us a few bucks. So we're going to wrap up here. We got to thank all our good friends, such as Alex McHale, Matthew Schnapp, Don Kilson, Mark Long, Will Roberts, Ivan Liskanik, Brian Moreski, Mason Barber, Miles Gakula, Matthew Holmes, Dennis Jansen, Paula Schultz, Mark Smith, Blake Etheridge, Keith Amaral, David Polanco, Christopher Noyes, Kevin Nguyen, David Sfar, Stephen McLeary, Tyler Wiltz, Travis, Gary Hollensby, Chris Freeman, John Hoffman. Thank you guys all very much. But I got more. Christopher Stone, Jamie, Sit Comics, what? Timothy.
Forgot to thank Tyler Wiltus.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you so much, dude.
What did you do?
Well, he sent us comics.
Oh, you were gone. We didn't. And then you, Brooks, are in your box. We didn't talk about that.
Grabbed them.
We will discuss this next week because I don't want to discuss
the week
this.
that we're not here?
We will discuss this in 2 weeks because I don't want to discuss this in the outro. But Tyler, thank you very much.
That was really awesome.
And we'll talk about this next time. Aaron Wright, Father Dante, Brian Wilson, Nick Harrison, Mike Murphy, Chris Palacki, Kevin Ellis, Christina Tatone, Mario Miranda, Bob Learned, Gordon McKenzie, Greg Lindsay, Stephen Hayden, Anthony Morano, and Andrew Cuscieri, who, if you want to watch a really funny video of him killing Ryan Scott in the Friday the 13th game over and over again, you should go to facebook.com/group/geekbox.
Fun fact.
Yes?
I have worked with Kane Hodder from Friday the 13th.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. And you can
In fact, there's
see that
probably
stuff over there?
little videos online somewhere for Freer Clinic Director Diaries that I did, actually.
Oh, that's from that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to put that in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if you can find them.
Yeah. That's the bigger question.
Kevin, you want to give us some pimps here? You want to pimp your stuff? You got a website, you got a book, and let people know where to go.
My website is kevinsharpwriter.com, and the novel is called After Dakota. Brock?
I've read it. It's awesome.
Ryan?
It's a book.
Let's see my true friend.
I even gave you a review on Amazon.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Hey, man, if I can't read a Neil Gaiman book,
I know.
you're second on my list.
I know.
I need
Well,
pretty
if I'm
pictures.
second to Neil Gaiman, I'll take that.
No.
I need pretty pictures.
No, now I have to buy a copy, and that makes me feel bad. I have to go buy a copy full price and read it. So, yeah, go buy his book on Amazon. ComicConspiracyPodcast.com. That's where you can find all our previous episodes, as well as Geekbox.net and iTunes. Give us some rates and reviews, please. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz is where you can go to get all your digital comics. A lot of big sales. We actually had a question about that gigantic Amazon Kindle clearance dump, if you can call a clearance dump of digital items. We're going to discuss that more next week because I apparently completely missed this happened. Although it seemed to go up for a few days. I think it's off now.
What is it? Comics?
Yeah, Marvel dumped a ton
Digital
of books
comics?
ridiculously cheap on Kindle on the Amazon store. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Conspiratobrock.com, that's Brock's blog, a video pullist.
Yeah, one more thing.
What?
GoFundMe.
I'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Wanderers of the Fourth Dimension. Actually, I can talk about it now. Wanderers of the Fourth Dimension podcast. That's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. You could check that out. They're wrapping up this new season pretty soon, I think. Etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. That is my wife Leanne's art story. Buy stuff from there, including all the prints.
She got a new Harley and Poison Ivy print.
Yeah. She did an animated series, Harley and Poison Ivy, which we got here. You can also buy through our Etsy store. On Twitter, Ryan Higgins Ryan, Brock Sager, Larson Bryce, Toby XI, Insanity and Chaos, Comics Con Store, and just Kevin Sharp, right?
That Kevin Sharp.
That Kevin Sharp.
And
yeah.
just as a shout out, because I'd like to give a shout out to Bryce Larson at the end here. I hope this episode had everything you could have ever wanted since you weren't here to.
He probably just wants to kill us all.
Fuck that guy.
Listen to their podcast, Geekbox, Comedy Button, Good Job Brian, All Talk Podcast, and Manga Machinations. And real quick here, what Toby was alluding to, I don't want to discuss this too long. We did talk about the fact that we're moving the store a few episodes ago. Last week? Last episode? Yeah, last episode. I decided to do something because, talking about money stuff's a little weird. I thought about it for a few weeks. I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do.
Sorry, I didn't mean to open the doors here.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's out there. So I just wasn't, I probably would, whatever. We'll talk about it now. If you're still listening, thank you.
That's where all the good stuff is at the end.
So what we decided to do was, although we have funding from many different places for the move, including savings and credit and
free labor,
line of credit from the bank and free labor,
we're going to do a big sale beforehand.
We're doing a big sale, yeah. One of the ways I was getting funding to support a chunk of the move was through a line of credit to the bank. And we applied for a certain amount, and we did not get quite the amount we were looking for. Now, this doesn't mean the move's in any sort of jeopardy or that we're going to go out of business or anything crazy like that. A few people have asked. I want to make this clear. Like, everything's working as intended. Everything's fine. A few people have suggested set up a GoFundMe to see if we could try to cover the difference that we can't get from the bank. I went back and forth with this for a few weeks. I didn't want to do it. I thought maybe, and I said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to put it out there. There's no pressure. There's no stress. I don't want this to be like a thing where I don't want to feel like I'm begging for money. I don't want anything like that. But if you enjoy this podcast, if you're a customer of the store, if you just have money and need to do something with it, we do have a GoFundMe. You can search for Comics Conspiracy. You can give us $1 or more or however much you want. This is going strictly towards the moving cost and fixtures and construction of our new location. Again, we have a large loan from the bank, but we are a little short from what I originally wanted. Do not feel obligated. This is something you have to do. But if you would like to kick us a couple bucks that way, if you normally do Patreon and you want to skip a month of Patreon and kick me $5 over there, that works as well. But if you don't want to give me a penny,
no, we don't want that. No kidding.
That's fine too.
No, he wants them to do that so we don't have random picks next month.
There you go. Yeah. Take all the random picks. No. It is up there if you want to use it. Again, this pays for some stuff that again. Money's gonna have to come from somewhere. If I can clear some of that distance through the GoFundMe, that's fantastic. I do have very specific numbers up there of what we were given, what we need, how much I've spent. I'm updating it whenever I get new estimates from contractors and from. We just ordered.
You've always been pretty honest about your numbers.
I probably talk about my numbers more than I should.
Yep. We can all agree on that one.
But it's like. I want to be as honest and open about this as I can to show you where the money's going. If you do donate some money to us for the store move, we bought some new boxes for all our comics. These are not cheap. This is we're spending $1,500 on simply for comic book boxes to store comics in. Right, trying to have a new store and move into it while the old store is still operating at full capacity means all the money that goes into the first store goes in there, and then all the rest of the money is now being put into the new location. So it's like running two stores, but only the profit from one. So it is like it's a lot of money. Again, I have money from multiple sources. This is not like the end of the world if I don't clear the full amount, but I'm not too proud to say, I'll take a little help if I can get it. And this does go back to Charlie and Toby and Brock as well, and Marshall, my other employees here. This,
I keep my job.
Yeah. I mean, again, staff funding comes from profit from the store, so none of the money donated to that goes to our pockets. It all goes back into the store, and anything that we don't use from the amount of money that is set aside for this element, all of that is going back into a general fund, which is going to go solely for the use of restocking comic books. And a lot of that is going to be all ages and independent stuff because we're going to be expanding out those sections. So there's actually going to be a lot of that money, or not a lot of it, potentially some of it, or a lot of it if we get some really good deals, will actually go directly back into the comic book industry as far as us buying stock. So this is out there. If you guys want to use it, again, don't feel any obligation to.
It's up on the Comics Con Twitter and your Twitter, and my Twitter pops up, and the Facebook group, I think, is... Did you post in the Facebook group?
I put it up there once, and maybe at the very end of the thing, I'll say it one more time, but I don't want this to be something that we're going to talk about every week, or I'm going to be yelling at people every minute to give me money. Nothing like that. Just it's up there if you want to use it. Thank you very much, and if you don't, that's cool too. Hope you visit the new store. The best way is to actually come to the store if you're local and buy comic books from us. Buy stuff from the store. That is better than GoFundMe. That's better than Patreon. That is the best way to get money to the store. Is to buy product from us.
The listeners, our listeners, some of them can't buy locally, but we do ship.
Yep.
And it's free shipping over $25.
Over $25. Yep. So there's some trades you're looking for,
or some back issues that you possibly can't find at your local shop.
Yep. We got those. We got.
Back issues, email Ryan a list. Don't call.
We still have the pre-orders up for the X-Men Jim Lee variant cover sets coming. We're going to have there's another Marvel variant set up. It's the Marvel vs. Capcom one. Is that the one that's in the new previews? There's a couple new ones up. We'll do Doomsday Clock sets once that gets solicited. There's a ton of ways you can buy stuff through the store even if you're not local.
And as far as I know, all our random picks are available.
Yeah, they should be. Yep. Yeah. And we restock stuff constantly. We ship stuff out all the time.
Pick something that's out of print.
So, that's it. I want to thank everyone coming. Kevin, thank you for coming out. Bryce, hopefully you're here next week. Watch the movie. You have your homework.
I'm very scared for the next few months.
For the move?
Your move. My day job move.
Some
big projects on the horizon. Some stuff might get launched. By the end of the year, I'm just going to drop dead.
Me too. Very, very busy. All right. Thank you guys very much. We'll catch you next week.